This is Whataburger Friday Night Stars, presented by Game On Sports, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, and the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. Here's Kyle Yeomans, Zach Wolchuk, Eric Chiafalo, and Heckma Harrison.
Woo! We are back with Whataburger Friday Night Stars Week 4. How about some Amani Bailey action? Big touchdown run, switching fields for the Ryan Raiders.
How about that? 6 carries, 124 yards, 2 touchdowns. One of them right there for Amani Bailey.
This one's not good for your Plano Wildcats. Blocked up in the air and recovered in pay dirt.
Why are we even showing that?
Well, because Allen's up big.
There's
How about
three
this
phases of the game, Wolchuk.
This is Bryson Clemens showing off a little bit of elusiveness on that near sideline. Whoop! Missed 1 tackle, missed 2 tackles. He's finally taken down after he breaks 4 tackles. That shot by our very own Chris Beam, by the way. How about this? Liberty Christian running back Ty Strickland taking it to the house. He's not a big guy, but he's in the end zone for 6. And how about this one? Staying with Liberty Christian, the GOAT, Mr. Jason Witten, just walking up the stairs. We around these parts like us some Jason Witten.
That makes 3 out of the 4 of us.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, I don't know what Heckman's deal is, man. I don't get it. I just don't.
What? What?
Oh, welcome back into Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Kyle Yeomans alongside Heckma Harrison, Eric Chiafalo, and Zach Wolchuk. We've got the great Matt Kent and Chris Beam in studio as well. And, man, it's been an interesting week of games throughout the area so far. There's a lot of kind of puzzling scores, to say the least. I mean, Mansfield up on Mansfield Summit right now at halftime, 14-7. That was a Mansfield Summit squad that, at least over the course of our pregame show, we kind of talked up a little bit. Then you've got teams like Red Oak leading South Oak Cliff at the break. Heckma, you feeling a little nervous about one?
Yeah, I am. I didn't see that one coming, especially being up 21-14 before the half. But, you know, South Oak Cliff has definitely got to figure out what's going on with the quarterback because we can't get any offensive production.
Right. That's sad.
Turnovers are killing them as well.
Well, they're only down by 7.
They're still plenty of time.
for sure.
And it's halftime. We'll see what adjustments are made there. Coach Todd, it's on you, sir.
Yeah.
You like that. It's a gleam in your eye right now. It's kind of
he likes Coach Todd feeling the pressure, I think, a little bit.
I think I want to see what he does with his back against the wall a little bit.
Well, we saw it a couple weeks ago. When South
This
Oak
is a
Cliff
district game.
It is a district game. It's
Red
different.
Oak's
You're right.
putting up dang near
This one
60
means a
points
little
a
bit
game.
more.
It's a great point. That's a good point. And what did we say in the pregame show? We said if Red Oak can get in a shootout with Sock, that's not what Sock wants. And the fact that Red Oak went up and put up 21 points pretty quickly on that Bears defense that seemingly has been one of the best in the area, it shows that Red Oak offense is for real, no doubt about it. We'll see what that second half brings, keeping you up to date on that one. Other scores around the area that are not so surprising. DeSoto on Waxahachie right now, 34-6. I mean, there's just been a lot of solid things to look at overall for DeSoto. I mean, that Eagles team is rolling right now. Our marquee matchup, Rockwall 35, Arlington Martin 14. And boys, we talked about a guy named Jackson Smith Jiba.
Yes.
Commit to Ohio State.
Mr. Do-It-All.
He's pretty good. Pretty good player.
He's pretty good. 9 receptions, 195 yards, and count them, 4 touchdowns in the first half.
The sophomore, Brady
He's
Locke.
unreal, guys.
256 passing yards, 5 touchdowns. I mean, that Rockwall offense is just dynamic.
And we said Zach Mundell was going to need to play a clean game. He's got 2 interceptions. Has not done much through the air at all. I think he's just 3 for 9 in this one. So
20 yards, not great.
Yeah, pretty anemic passing attack.
But you got to say, though, guys, that, I mean, they did make it a fight at the beginning of it. First quarter, they scored 2 touchdowns. And so just right now at halftime, 35-14. Tough.
That's pretty impressive. That's a very good Arlington Martin squad that we thought had a chance in this football game, and Rockwall's kind of flexing their muscles a little bit.
But not to look ahead, guys. Next week, they got a tough one in Longview.
That's going to be an interesting
Rockwall,
football
Longview.
game.
Goodness gracious, that's going to be incredible.
That's
Where's
awesome.
that game being played?
It's in Longview.
It's in Longview. Wow, that's going to be fun.
That's going to be an incredible
We'll be
football
rocking
game.
there with the Lobo faithful.
Potential shootout.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Lobo's
I would
got a
say
pretty
so.
tough one on their tab tomorrow, correct? Are they
I think
taking
so.
on West Monroe tomorrow?
Yeah.
That's a West Monroe Rebels team that's pretty solid, too, coming out of Louisiana.
Quite the quarterback matchup with Haynes King and Braden Locke as well.
Yeah,
Haynes King, it was kind of Braden Locke before Braden Locke. He
That's right.
started as a youngster there, worked his way up with Longview, won state as a junior, now back for a senior campaign, committed to Texas A&M. So some comparisons there between those two quarterbacks.
And we've seen Locke go toe-to-toe with a star-studded veteran quarterback already this year.
Yes,
Came up
Chandler
just
Morris.
short.
Right.
So
but
we know
went-
he's not scared.
Went
that's
throw
for
for
sure.
throw with Chandler Morris in was that week 2 of the season?
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
and
they
that-
were at home for that matchup.
Sure.
This would be on the road
No doubt.
at Longview, but still, that's...
But he hasn't missed a beat. I mean,
There's a
he's been
lot
on
of-
point every single game.
He really
that
has.
Braden Locke.
Yeah.
No moment has proved too big for him. I 100% agree.
Another surprising score from around the area is we actually take a look at a couple of our tweets on our tag board. You can also be a part of this tag board at Friday Night Stars whenever you can hashtag Friday Night Stars. This is South Grand Prairie touchdown right up the middle from our own Guy Frazier, up 17-0 in the first quarter of that football game against Mansfield Lake Ridge. It's gotten a little bit closer since then, but at the same time, SGP jumping out on top pretty early. Another big carry. Look at this. This is from Mallory Hartley. And Mallory, a good friend of the show, she stands in here. No doubt about it. Just
my
buzzing
God.
right past.
Mallory.
Tough,
Get
Mallory.
her down,
Tough
right
in
on
there. Wow. And then this is a 19-yard touchdown pass. Mansfield leading at the half 14-7. That was really the statement touchdown, though, for Mansfield and the Tigers. This one, again, shot by our very own Chris Beam at the Ford Center just across the way. A touchdown
Strong
scamper.
run.
Drew Martin, the quarterback for Lebanon Trail there, making it a one-score game. It's also, once again, kind of blown up a little bit since then. And then our final highlight that we have from the first couple game or from the start of the games today. It's actually your Plano Wildcats, Zach. A halfback pass to get on the board. Earlier in that football game, they are still trailing by quite a
full
bit.
flicker?
A little trickery there from the
Well,
Wildcats.
halfback pass. Yeah, well, they needed it, and that's their only touchdown of the game so far.
Yeah, that's what they're going to have to do.
But
in
that
order
was
to
a
put up
sweet
some
play.
points. Yeah, no, credit to him.
Exciting.
Credit to him. Only down 21 in the first 10 or so minutes of that game. It's incredible.
Now, guys, SGP, what do you think about that game versus Lake Ridge?
Well, I think you're feeling pretty good about it.
No, I just want to talk about it.
No,
guys.
I know. Of
I'm
course, I'm not
personally-
upset. I'm not upset at you.
No, I'm surprised. I thought that Lake Ridge offense would be playing a little bit better. I just thought a little bit more so of them and less about South Grand Prairie's ability to score with Lake Ridge, but to put up 24 points in the first half. And Drake Logan hasn't even had a great game through the year. He's 7 of 15. He's got a pick, but
It's the three turnovers for Lake Ridge that's killing them
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
got- you
that
know.
SGP defense,
But
fast, athletic, and then they're getting after it tonight.
only down 2 scores, and I'm not sure who started with the ball in that one. So for Lake Ridge to be big if they come out and they get the ball in the second half there to try and cut that to within.
Yeah, Adrian Hawkins threw 2 touchdowns, 2 turnovers, excuse me. That's made a big part
Fumbles.
of it. Fumbles as well. And so they're doing all of this in the red zone. And so they're really self-inflicted wounds by these guys. And so they were in this game, but I'm really surprised. Well, not surprised so much to say at the beginning of the show, I was telling you guys how South Grand Prairie has competed in all of the games that they've played in. So I'm not surprised.
You're 100% right. That offense, I mean, is just okay. They do just enough, but that defense flying around, forcing the turnovers, and Lake Ridge can't run the ball, which now they're going to have to start really opening it up in the second half. Down 2
Trouble.
scores, you're going to have to start throwing that ball.
Like you said, trouble overall. Let's go into some of those highlighted matchups that we've got across the area, starting with Allen and Plano. And I know, Zach, you don't really want to get into this one, but with just a couple minutes left in that third quarter, it's pretty much wrapped up in the hands of the Allen Eagles. Sharp did indeed play, and he played well. 16
that
for
scene right
25. Yeah, that's a pretty good shot
Hey,
from Gavin
man, Plano,
Dunaway.
they come out and support their Wildcats. That's for sure. The Plano faithful always do. And I do love the all-maroon unis. But Raylan Sharp came out, and he was on fire. 16 of 25, 235 yards and a touchdown early, and Manning on the ground. 99 yards, couple of scores. Jordan Johnson's got a couple of touchdowns on the ground. Plano's defense is just not very good, and Allen is certainly exploiting them, whether it's through the air or on the ground. And offensively, Oliver Towns and this offense just unable to put anything together consistently against this Allen defense.
And that's tough over there. There you see the arm of Sharp, just a bullet over the middle for that touchdown. We saw that earlier, but like you said, 235 yards in the air for Sharp today. And
And
he's
2
been
turnovers for Plano, too. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're going to beat Allen, and you're not a team like Duncanville that can match up with them athletically star for star.
You can't turn the football over.
You can't afford to. You've got to play a near perfect game. And for Plano, you're already behind the 8 ball athletically with some players at your skill positions. You can't turn the ball over twice. Allen will make you play. Not to mention they had that punt blocked for a touchdown. So all
Special
three
teams.
phases certainly they're getting dominated by Allen right now.
Now, is Sharp really that much of a difference maker, though? Or did Plano, like you said, just Plano shooting themselves in the foot kind of turn this football game in the opposite direction?
I believe that if Sharp didn't play, they probably could have relied on their rushing attack to get by. But he certainly is the difference maker. Without Raylan Sharp, this team's not a legitimate state title contender. They don't have a backup quarterback. I'm sorry, Drew Carniglia, and if he's a fan of the show, but he's not very good.
I actually heard he is actually a huge fan of the show.
Yeah,
How you feel that?
You've just taken him out.
I'm just going to call it like I see it. That kid is not one that's going to take Allen to where they expect to be. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah, well, I won't.
Tough pill to swallow,
man.
Drew.
Another couple semesters behind Sharp, maybe.
Yeah.
He'll catch on. Big kid, right? Isn't he 6'3", 6'4", big arm? Come on, agree with something, Chuck.
Sure. He did so well at Coppell last year.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
And
is-
all we said all year was they can't throw the ball. I wonder why that was.
you are just harsh on this guy right now.
That's all right.
I'm
Take
sure
out
he's
Drew
a great,
Canigula.
great he can run.
Sharp has been special is the biggest point of this. Is the
Definitely.
fact, I mean, he's stepped into the big shoes to fill of Grant Tisdale, and he has done remarkably well.
Yeah, he has. And I think he's throwing the football better than a lot of people expected. We knew that he could run, and we knew he was a speedster.
Well, you saw the arm on that
He's
last
a track
highlight.
star, absolutely. But he has been slinging the rock
Yeah,
around.
Allen's offense is one that is really fun to watch. The way that they air the ball out, they create a lot of spacing for their guys, so they're not really throwing where there's 2 and 3 receivers in the same area. I really love their offense, and this guy Sharp has got a great arm as well. Great arm, but I think his game is if you make him tuck it, he'll take it.
No question about it. And when it comes to playoff time, I think we're going to see that more. With him getting banged up early on in the season, I bet the coaches there are probably saying, hey, listen, try to win from within the pocket, especially a game against Plano here. We know we're probably going to get on him here pretty early. Let's not go risk it and running the ball. I mean, we saw the first play of the season for Allen. He took it 80 yards for a score. We know he can do that. But with that small frame, it's easy to get beaten up. And we've already seen him miss a game already because of that. So I would think over the next, particularly the games that they feel confident in, like tonight, you're gonna see Sharp really trying to focus on winning from within the pocket so that when playoff time comes, 1, he can be as healthy as can be, and 2, he's ready to play within the pocket whenever you go up against those defenses that are able to sort of slow you down from a running perspective.
And for Allen, they're not going to be tested within this district until they play Prosper. That's really
November
the only
1st.
game that they will even be tested and honest. And I think they'll steamroll Prosper as well if Sharp is healthy. But
I don't know about that one.
man, I do.
I don't know about that.
I think so. I've been watching Allen for too long. I just don't see them really being. They run this district. They own this district. And just
See,
when,
I think this is a
just when a
different
team
year,
gets
though.
we say that every year. Just when a team gets a glimmer of hope, like maybe this is one that can compete.
They nip
If
it
they
in the
played
bud.
it within 10, I'd say wow, the Prosper played really well.
I really think that Prosper is gearing up for that game.
I hope so.
They didn't match the intensity last year.
It
when
helps that
moved
they
in.
get it at home. That's for sure.
Well, that's true as well. But one of the things that I think teams, what happened to them is they get into Allen Stadium and then their eyes get big. And I mean, obviously last year they were just unbeatable with Grant Tisdale and Theo Weiss. But this year they've shown some mortality in them. I mean, you just know that once you get to those second and third layers of their team, that they're not very good, and they're trying to get to that point. And so I believe, just looking at Prosper from an energy standpoint, if they can match the intensity and do what they did last week versus Flower Mound, we got an upset on the horizon.
I think
just
their
write that
second
down.
and third is good everywhere except for quarterback. It depends on who's under center.
True indeed.
If Raylan Sharp isn't under center, then they're vulnerable. If he's not, they can be down to their third receiver or third running back or second string tackle. They're still better than most teams out there.
But the thing with Prosper is they're deep in the secondary, and what you saw them do last week. I mean, they shut down Flower Mound's passing game, and in every facet of it, they dominated that game. And so I'm looking at Prosper and saying, look, you got an opportunity here. But you're right. And you're right as well when you talk about how small their quarterback is and how that's going to play a big role once they get up into some of those
But
bigger
now
teams.
you're up 42-7. You've got a whole half. You can play Drew Carniglia. And
Yeah,
we can
you could.
mix him in there, get him some reps, and see how he does.
against a good Plano team. Like I think it's not a legitimate Plano team or a good Plano
They're
team, but
the best team probably out of the 3 Plano schools this year.
I would agree with that overall. A top or at least a upper echelon tier.
You
of
think
that
they'll beat
district.
East this year?
I think so.
I'd like to think so. We'll see.
I would think they would beat East, or at least I would pick that game right now.
This
if that
time
were the
last
case.
year, we were saying no way that
No.
they beat East.
All you
but
got to do is
then they
score about
spanked them.
16 points.
East
to
is a
beat
little
East.
down this year, though. I mean, that's fair, and I think Plano is consistent enough from last year to this year that they could take down.
They got a
East.
chance to fight for that 4th spot.
There's a long time till that football game, though. On the other side, we've got a game at the Ford Center right now where Frisco is just currently putting it on Lebanon Trail and currently just found their way into the end zone just a couple moments ago here from the Ford Center. We get another look at this because Frisco has put up some pretty good numbers. This was a game earlier, 21-14, just about to head into the half, but ever since the halftime break, you see the sign right there, Flashback Friday, 1-9, 56-14. That was last year's score between these two district rivals. And, well, the Frisco Raccoons have just put it away, and we'll get you that replay here in just a second. It was, I believe, a 26-yard touchdown pass to their tight end. Or no, it was their tailback running out of the backfield who scored earlier in the football game. And also, we walked over there for a split second and caught one of the biggest hits that we've seen a tailback lay down like this year at all. Here's that replay, by the way.
What a physical play.
Just on the screen pass, far side.
I almost picked. Come on, 33. You got to make that pick there a little bit. Come on, man. But one thing about it, when we walked over this, one of the things I was really impressed about this Raccoons team, very physical, like you said, even defensively. They made all of the things that were happening in the first quarter were all the penalties that they were getting.
Yeah, and this is a game earlier that it looked like Lebanon Trail. They had a drive here. Quarterback Drew Martin was able to rumble his way in the end zone. We took a look at that earlier where he just finally found the goal line. That made it a one-score game at the time. And then I just think Frisco had too much weapons-wise. There were too many guys they could throw the football to or hand the football off to that were just dangerous enough to make this score where it is right now at 56-14.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was clear who was the better team.
No question about it. Yeah, Frisco was just shooting themselves in the foot. Turnovers,
Yeah.
penalties. They had one play where they got, in one single play, they had a total of 30 yards in penalties, roughing the passer, and then the head coach got one for, probably getting in the ref's ear a little too much.
Yeah, when you look at the turnover disparity and also the penalties here. I mean, you would think that Frisco, they can't do this against any other some of the other teams in Frisco. They'll lose, but against these guys, they can get away with it.
That number 4, that wide receiver Bryson Clemens for Frisco, 14 catches, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he definitely caught the eye while we were watching. He passes the eye test, and he's having himself a monster game.
But hey, that one that he laid out for in the end zone was so sweet.
Yeah, it was impressive.
Yeah, definitely impressive overall. And look at all the 600 yards that Frisco has put up. And look at the balance there as well. And I think that's the biggest thing is they've just got weapons on the outside. And we talked about Chase Lowry, the guy who has got looks from Iowa State and Duke. Well, it's not going to be looks for very long because he's gonna end up getting some offers pretty soon. 25 first downs total for Frisco. They've just been dominant.
Yeah, and you got to understand that this is when we were sitting there, we saw 30 of those penalty yards right there in front of our face. I mean, just pretty much just marching them down to the touchdown that we saw there. But guys, this is the beginning of the fourth quarter. 600 yards in 3 quarters.
Yeah, they're putting it on them.
They are putting it.
Pretty
They
impressive.
are pouring in the pudding right now. Okay,
Allen's not
pouring
even
in
doing
the
that to
pudding.
Plano.
I like
pouring in
that.
the pudding right now, buddy.
Pouring in the pudding. That's
Yes.
interesting. I like that. Moving on to Justin Northwest and Sherman.
Oh,
And-
do we have to?
Talk about
do
it.
you
Be
wanna-
about it.
Do you want to look at this game?
I mean, not for too long. Justin Northwest, my alma mater, down 16-0.
But you didn't even pick them.
No, so you're right. It is a little bit. It makes me feel pretty good. My boy Walchuk over there.
You're
Now,
a turncoat, sir.
Did everybody else go Sherman?
Yeah, I
Was it
think
only
we all
Walchuk
did.
that took the L there?
I think it was.
It
Yeah.
might not be. I mean, there's a second half of football left. That's why we play the full game. It's
Yeah,
only
for sure.
It's a 2-possession game.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And Justin
Have some
Northwest,
faith.
they've averaged less than 3 yards a carry.
Their offense has not moved the football.
50
well.
passing yards. Your guy Austin Ahmad that you said was going to have his breakout game. Well, he's
I
7
didn't
for
say
14,
breakout game. I
50
said he
You
had a
yards.
good
alluded
game.
to a bit of a breakout today.
I thought
Look,
you
we
said
knew Sherman's defense was really good. They're playing this game into their favor.
Just claim it.
I needed Justin Northwest to turn on that offense, and so far it hasn't happened. But we got plenty of time left.
Plenty of time. Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's over until the fat lady sings.
Come
Come on, Austin Ahmad, you can do it, baby.
Mike Brown, the running back for Sherman, absolute beast, was a stud last year, and he's got 11 carries, over 100 yards, almost 10 yards per carry right now. So he's really carrying the load there for Sherman. And then Tate Bethel, you mentioned him earlier, Heckma, in the pregame show. He's been fine, just getting the job done. He's pretty efficient. He's got a touchdown. He's not making any mistakes, and that's sort of the guy that he is, depending on that defense. And that's what they're doing. They're shutting down Austin Ahmad in that offense.
It's a really clean game. You look at the penalties, 5 for the Texans and 5 for these guys, for Sherman. But look, 6 first downs apiece.
Sherman hasn't been that great either. They've got their defense
turnovers.
Is dominated this game. They've got a safety as well. They've thrown the ball 9 times. It's not like either offense has really looked very good.
You're just mad you're losing.
No, I'm not. But I think we over-exaggerated Sherman's offense here a little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
It's 7.6 yards per carry. That's 3 yards difference than 10 yards per carry.
I was just showing some love to Mike Brown, who's 11 carries for 107 yards.
He's got 74 yards rushing. I mean, he's
you get so sour all of a sudden when you're not winning something.
He actually has 107. He has 107 on 11
I'm giving love to
carries.
Sherman's defense. I think that's the story of the
You're
game.
the kid that takes his ball and goes home.
11 carries, 107
That's you.
yards, running back. Good day?
Mike Brown, 10 carries, 74 yards.
Okay, well, I see 11 carries, 107 yards.
That's not what I'm seeing here.
All right, well, clearly
I've got
yours not
10 carries,
updated.
74 yards.
So mine's
and the
just
stats
lying
that
to
we
me.
put up there didn't have Sherman rushing for, as a team, over 174 yards.
I said 107 yards, Mike Brown.
You
I've
guys,
got
11 carries,
10 carries,
107.
74 yards.
You guys
So
are
there's
so
clearly
Maybe he racked
get
off
into
that
this.
11th carry.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was.
That's clearly
and
what it
I
was.
haven't had a refresher here.
Lovers quarrel.
That's been the problem.
I'm just saying what I'm looking at.
Yeah, and I'm looking at we're talking about Sherman's defense. No one's going crazy. I said Tate Bethel. He's been fine.
Sherman's
he's been okay.
defense is the story of the game.
I love
That
it when
was
you
the
guys
only
argue
point
like
that I was
this. This is
trying to
awesome.
make.
Yeah, you and I just
Shout
get
out
to
to
sit
them.
back over here.
Their defense is outstanding.
Just let them take it away.
Big game, Austin Ahmad.
So there's a little bit of wildness going on in Mansfield right now between Mansfield and I believe it's Mansfield Summit and then Mansfield. Those are the two games that are kind of going a little crazy right now. Let's take a look at what this is what Lincoln Reville put up on our social page here just a couple moments ago. Lincoln at the ball game tweeted this: fumble recovery on the 6-yard line that put Mansfield Summit down by 7 inside their own 10-yard line to start the drive on offense. And now, after that, then you turn around, and if it'll end up playing, I don't know why it's not playing. Well, overall, they gave it back on an interception as David Godsey in the end zone took that ball away, and Mansfield goes back on the offensive.
That drives a coach crazy.
That's crazy.
Back and forth from inside the 10-yard line. That might have been Summit's best opportunity to tie that football game up.
Yeah, that put an emotional roller
Yeah, that
coaster
one's
to
gonna
get a
bite
big
'em.
turnover like that and then turn the ball back over. This is a defensive nightmare. You do something like that, you get them in field position, in scoring position, and give the ball right back. It just doesn't make any sense. You hand the ball off, if anything. You don't just, I don't know. Anyway,
I
do what you
agree
guys-
100%. That's a killer right there.
Yeah, that's no fun for any coach to look at overall, but that's even tougher whenever it's inside the 10-yard line. Looking at McKinney, Boyd, and Plano East, the District 9 6A
What a
matchup.
game.
We've got a couple 9 6A matchups right now. Yeah, pretty good game.
What a
right now.
game. And
These are two pretty evenly matched teams.
Yeah, we came into it really thinking that Boyd had the upper hand in this, but not so much. I mean, Plano East has stuck to the script and did what they knew that they could do to make this a good game. I think Trey Scott Jones has been the biggest surprise for Plano East in this game. 16 attempts, 89 yards, and so that's what's actually keeping Boyd at bay. But it's tied up right now.
Yeah, East, they knew they had to get Trey Scott Jones going, right? I mean, that's their offense. They're very one-dimensional. They're trying to get Dylan Hayden going, throwing the football. So that's what they needed to do, and they're doing it. They're hanging in this one. This one's going to come down to the wire. Carter Whitefield, the quarterback for McKinney Boyd, they're not really doing much through the air at all in this one. It looks like really it's the rushing attack that's been the story for both sides.
Yeah, and McKinney Boyd hanging in there because of the 3 turnovers. Plano East, tie ball game, turn the ball over 3 times. You got to think if they could just get that down to 1 or 2 turnovers even, they'd be up by at least a score right now. So Plano East shooting themselves in the foot, but they're clearly the better football team, and they're at home. You'd like to think they can get out of there with a victory.
Yeah, 3 turnovers and to be tied at 14.
That's impressive.
The fact, that just shows that
we're
Plano
trying
East
to
is right
lose
there.
this one, but
We've
No.
given you 3 additional opportunities, and we're tied.
Yeah, and we're still tied up at 14. So pretty good game there. And then also in 9-6A, you've got one Plano West on the road against Jesuit. And we'll talk about some more 9-6A after we take a break here in a moment, but Prosper and McKinney later on. But Plano West and Jesuit, of course, this is a Jesuit team that we had a little bit more expectations for than their 1 and 2 starts showed. Plano West, kind of the doormat of that district, and Jesuit kind of showing why here.
for Plano West, one day they'll get that win. They're going on 3 straight years without a win.
That's
tough.
depressing.
They haven't won a
tough,
game.
man.
That's what they're in danger of right now. 3 straight seasons without a win, and Jesuit has just done whatever they wanted. We talked about Rance Holman in the Open, their quarterback, and really we thought it was all E.J. Smith coming into this year, but Holman's proven to be very effective throwing the ball. 4 touchdowns today. E.J. Smith, 14 carries. That's the most he's had all year, but just 34 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
However, he does have 2 touchdowns through the air. So
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
we
say.
knew about that as a receiver. Some people say, he even likes to play wide receiver a little bit more than running back, but because of who his dad is, he's kind of pegged as he needs to be a running back.
Well, he's underrated as a route runner in general. You can really flank him out, and he can run from the slot. And I'm sure they're doing that because Jake Taylor's proven to be a pretty good understudy in the backfield to E.J. Smith. So now you can get the best of both worlds. Have Taylor in the backfield. You can motion out E.J. Smith, play him in the slot or something like that, and he can go out there and pretty much be your best wide receiver as well. That just goes to show what kind of stud he is.
Yeah, when you look at football on any level, whether it be Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you see the running back position is changing a lot with what teams are trying to do with getting defenses outflanked in the flat. And so E.J. Smith just kind of represents that new breed of running back that can do it all. You bring up a good point with his route running ability, but he's even tougher in the tackles when you see what he does. And I believe that because he suffered an ankle injury, and they may be trying to bring him back slowly in this game versus an opponent that you can obviously pick your shots with him. But really just happy to see E.J. Smith back, but also Jesuit finally kind of living up to that potential that we've all been waiting for them to have. And Rance Holman, I think, is the bigger part of that. So it may be one of those things we come back to week 8, week 9, where we say it's because they solidify the quarterback position that makes the difference for them in that district.
Absolutely. Rance Holman could be the difference maker for them. They missed the playoffs last year. The one big thing was their defense was not good.
No.
And it hasn't been this year either. They've
No,
been better
it hasn't
today.
been. It's been better today, but
they're playing
granted, the
West.
opponent, Andrew Pico's not. He's very one-dimensional. He's a runner, and this guy has not proven that he can be a threat at all in the passing game. So it's a get-well game for your defense, but can they carry that over when they play an offense is a little bit more explosive?
Well, and they're going to see a couple of those offenses coming up in the next couple of weeks. They've got a Thursday game coming up this next week against McKinney Boyd on the road. Then they've got a bye week. Then they take on Prosper at home, and then they travel to Allen the next week. So then it's Prosper,
a
Allen
tough
right
back-to-back.
after that.
Murderous
Not
row.
great.
So you're
man.
at 2-2 right now after the win today, after this one goes final. Then you turn around, you play McKinney Boyd. I think that's a winnable game for Jesuit. You could be 3-2, and then you turn around, you got to play Prosper and Allen. If you're 3-2 and also 2-0 in district, which is extremely important, before going into those games, then you've got Plano, McKinney, Plano East to round out your schedule. You could be a playoff team.
Yeah,
you really
just
could.
That middle back-to-back is tough there, but at least you close out with a nice softie. You can go win 3 straight or so. And,
could, yeah.
and make it into
I wouldn't necessarily call Plano a softie or McKinney a softie, but at the same time,
relative
they're
to the
winnable
previous
games.
2, yeah, absolutely.
That's true.
Yeah,
Relative
to the previous
to-
2, but
to
I hear you.
Prosper
I
and
hear you.
Allen.
I'll show some respect to Walchuk's Plano Wildcats.
I'm trying. Zach.
I thought you were saying East was the softie.
Oh, man. We'll get back to some of these games, but we're going to take a quick break here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. As we head into the break, let's take a look at a couple more of these big-time plays from around the area, going with another rushing touchdown for Allen. How about this? From way out. You can't even see the running back. Look at him break to the far side. He scores all the way to the house. A great look from Gavin Dunaway. And then on the other hand, we've got SGP finding their way into the end zone. We'll be back here in a moment here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
Gear up for back to sport at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
It's game day. A day that should be spent in the living room, not the kitchen. So next game, you just worry about the score, because we've got the food covered. With hand-battered, cooked-to-order, always fresh, never ever frozen chicken fingers, craveable cane sauce, crispy crinkle-cut fries, and jugs of freshly made tea and lemonade. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
Go Cowboys!
It's in all of us, and we won't hold it back. Not one little bit. Nope, we embrace it, letting it fuel our passions, pushing us deeper than we thought possible and keeping us curious. It's what sets us apart from the herd. It's how we come up with the ideas that make people say, why didn't I think of that? See, when you nurture the creativity and passion that's in all of us, you'll learn nothing is out of reach.
Get excited, Whataburger fans. Our one-of-a-kind mushroom Swiss burger is back.
And now it's an all-time favorite.
If you love mushrooms, you're going to love this burger.
The double cheese, the mushrooms was absolutely amazing.
It's a really good balance between the mushrooms and the Swiss, and that au jus sauce on top.
The creamy au jus sauce.
It really complements the mushrooms. Everything just works perfectly together.
It's just perfect. Every bite's perfect.
It's not just a mushroom Swiss burger, it's a Whataburger mushroom Swiss burger.
Hey, I'm Jack. We started SeatGeek because we want fans to have a better, more transparent ticket buying experience. With SeatGeek, you can see the best deals and buy tickets, all with a price match guarantee. The only thing we can't guarantee is that your team will win. So use the code TICKETS20 at checkout for $20 off your first order.
The beautiful Star in Frisco, headquarters of the Dallas Cowboys. They've got week 3 coming up. Well, we've got week 4 of Texas high school football here from the Star in Frisco. Glad you're with us on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. We'll be going until 11 o'clock on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and also on Vimeo. It's been a fun week so far throughout Texas high school football. Plenty of surprising scores. We talked about that South Grand Prairie score just a couple moments ago, 31-10 over Lake Ridge. That's a surprising score, no doubt about it.
Unless you're Heckma Harrison.
Heckman's the genius out of all of us.
Say it again.
Well, I'm not going to say
it. Don't do it again. He got it once. It's on record. He can go back. It's going to become a ringtone on his phone. And you're in trouble.
Awesome.
You're in trouble, Yeomans.
No. Great. Yeah,
that's very
I'm a
impressive.
drop now. Yeah.
How about South Grand Prairie's offense, man? They're coming alive. That was my big question mark. I didn't know that they'd have the offensive firepower, but putting up 31 points. Not that Lake Ridge's defense has been amazing this year, but I think that's big for South Grand Prairie moving forward because we know they've always been a really good defensive club. They've just lacked the offense to complement that. But this is a statement win in the right direction for SGP this year, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But like I told you from the beginning, man, I just look at their record and just seeing how competitive they've played all season. So they look like they had a bunch of grit. But also Lake Ridge, this has to be an emotionally draining week for them, no matter how you have to prepare. And like I said, that part of it did pull at my heartstring, but I just was like, look, I just think that SGP is just going to have a little bit too much for them in the end. Now, the game's not over by a long shot, but at the same time, I just thought that the competitive nature of the Warriors would come through.
And we're going to talk about this game a little bit more. Of course, Guy Frazier out there. We may talk to him.
Frazier's out there?
He is out there.
What?
He's got a good game.
I thought he got his head taken off last night. He's still even
He's alive.
All right,
Yeah,
very
he's good to go. No, he's
Go,
good to
Frazier.
go. There's another game, and I'm extremely jealous of William Broderick here. We might have to talk to him later today.
Bill?
Huh?
Bill?
Not Bill Broderick, but William Broderick.
Oh, no, he goes by Bill.
No, I don't think so.
That's what his friends call him.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
You're not his friend.
I might not be a friend then. Anyways, Preston Wood against Argyle Liberty Christian. This is an Argyle Liberty Christian squad that's been struggling a little bit. I mean, going into the ninth, 0-3 against 2-1 Preston Wood. Well, Argyle Liberty Christian jumped out 28-8 in the middle of the third quarter with 8 minutes and 1 second left. How about this, though? Coming from behind, Prestonwood now leads this ball game. They were down by 20.
Jeez.
They score 20, or they even up it from that. They score 27 unanswered points and take a 35-28 lead over Argyle Liberty Christian. We saw the game, or saw the shots earlier. Jason Witten in the building. I mean, guys like Ty Strickland having a solid game with 46 yards and a touchdown already, but that was really all he was able to do, at least in the first half, because he got stacked up after that. But Prestonwood coming from behind, guys.
5 turnovers they have overcame.
Wow.
5 turnovers. Prestonwood Christian, 3 interceptions from Switzer, the quarterback, and what a great third quarter they had, putting up 21 points in the third quarter, coming out of halftime, making the necessary adjustments, and they come out and they're playing fantastic in the second half. To be able to overcome that, I mean, that just goes to show Prestonwood is clearly the better football team. They're dominating in every category: total yards, first downs. The only thing they're losing in is the turnover battle. 2 fumbles, 3 interceptions, but they're still up by a touchdown.
What
And
a
that
kickoff
special
return
teams,
right there.
that kickoff return was the start of the comeback.
Gotcha.
For
That's how
Prestonwood.
it
flipped the momentum
That
there.
was the momentum shift.
3 phases, Walchuk.
Well, how about Jacob Switzer's 3 interceptions, but then he comes back and has 119 yards and a couple of scores on the ground? Competitive toughness there. You want to talk
Barry's
about the
grandson,
moxie,
right?
Ekma?
Yeah, the Barry's grandson
Hey,
is in the game.
Clearly, you can't throw. All right, let's just go ahead and run
You
this
know what? I'm
thing.
going to play to
and
my strengths.
Let's go win this football
Well,
game.
I mean, look. One thing about it, this could be a signature win for them. I mean, one where they played extremely ugly, but they did what they needed to come back and win the game. But like you said, Kyle, right at the third quarter, I thought this thing was over with because they were down 28-8.
28-8. And Switzer, you mentioned it. He hasn't had a good game.
Not through
at
the
all.
air.
Yeah, not with his arm.
Passing, it has not been pretty.
No, 9 for 25. The interceptions you already talked about, and 87 yards and a touchdown in the air. But on the ground, like you said, 121 yards. That's over 7 yards per carry, and he has 3 touchdowns.
It's a
running.
Jacob Allen-esque stat line.
But a lot
really
of credit
is.
to that Prestonwood, that Lion defense, because
Right.
they've been obviously put in some really tough situations. And that Argyle Liberty Christian offense is not great with the youngsters all across the board, with Greek at quarterback, Strickland as the running back there. So they're a young bunch, but still, anytime you got to overcome 5 turnovers as a defense. I mean, that's a tough thing to do, and you're still holding them with under 30 points. That's pretty solid.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Most teams, if you're down by 5 points, you're getting skunked.
Oh my gosh.
Building, there's no way you're coming back. But
Yeah.
for Prestonwood, this is like I said, this could be a signature win. They're still gonna get it after this game because the film study on this game isn't gonna be pretty.
Oh, no. There's going to be a lot of different sayings throughout that building going this week. And they just tacked on another 2-yard touchdown run from Switzer. His 4th touchdown on the ground
How
tonight.
about that? Wow.
So, and now they lead at 42-28. So now it's up to 30. What would that be? 34 unanswered points from Prestonwood. I'm not very good at math, but I'm trying.
Make it better than me.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Moving on to Prosper and McKinney.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, this Prosper
Wow.
team's looking pretty good, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, they are. This is an absolute spanking.
Yeah.
And we gave McKinney a shot.
No,
in this football game.
I still like this McKinney
I do
team.
too.
I still think they could be a playoff team. But Prosper is showing the gap between them and some of the other teams within this district.
So we got to talk about it. I mean, literally, we got to look forward, and we got some. Oh man, and I love McKinney's unis for that.
Yeah, they look good.
Yeah.
I love.
You like
I
those?
always have loved the way they set that up, man, with the gold helmets, with the blue, man.
Those look new too.
It looks pretty sharp. It really does. But McKinney Lions, here's 2 things that concern me. One, Yeoman's your guy that you told us to watch out for, Samson Nazarko.
Yep.
Not his best night.
Not at all.
But I'm glad I watched out for him. The other thing is Prosper giving up 224 yards rushing on the ground. Now, when you talk
True.
about a future potential matchup against Allen, that right there is all I need to know that you're probably going to lose that football game if you can't stop the run. Between Manning and we know they got a stable of guys behind him, and then even Raylan Sharp at the quarterback spot. I mean, the threat
100%.
of his legs, that Prosper defense is going to have to be able to stop the run. That's really the first weakness we've seen from him all season long.
And guys, earlier when we're talking about Allen and Prosper, and then I'm basically saying no, I don't think Prosper's really got a shot in that game. It's not to try and take a shot at Prosper. I think Jackson Berry's awesome. They're having a heck of a year. I'm just beaten down by Allen. I grew up in that district watching Allen and watching what happens. Every year there's a team that's the next best. For a couple of years, it was Plano. For a few years, it's been Plano East. Right now, it's Prosper, and you're thinking, all right, this team's got the chance. Then they play on the field, and Allen whoops them by multiple scores. I just think ultimately, and Eric makes some great points, they can't be giving up 164 yards to Lamira Ransom. What in the world is Keldon Manning going to do out there? Or to Eric's point, Raylan Sharp going to do out there against that Prosper defense? That is concerning to me. But offensively, we know with JT Lane and Jackson Berry, they can put up points.
Well, let's say this, though, guys. Ransom is not a scrub. I mean, this kid has been putting it
he's
on a lot
really
of teams.
good running back.
And from that perspective, you got to kind of respect this gangster on this because the kid has been putting up numbers for a couple of weeks now. So let's kind of back off.
No, but if we're talking about Allen, Ransom, and Manning, you think those are two comparable players?
Well, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
so,
I'm
not. Let's give love to Ransom for his game tonight, sure. But if you want to talk about a matchup potentially between Prosper and Allen,
I do.
So that's why we're saying.
So
that.
hold on for a second, Chuck. All right. Skirt. All right, Jim Shoes. So Hayden Metcalf, I think for Prosper makes one of the bigger differences for them as well. 8 catches, 170 yards. Look, all I'm saying to you is that Prosper tonight is facing a guy that is tough in between the tackles. He does a lot. He's not one of those big explosive guys. He's attrition. He's going to do it over and over and over again. Allen, a lot of times, they're not that team that commits to the run like that. I mean, come on. What they want to do is they want big plays. They want to air it out. I think that Prosper's strength is the fact that they play really good in the secondary, okay? And so that's my point, period. But if you take Ransom or also if we take on the other side, JT Lane for the Prosper Eagles. This kid is 17 carries, 154 yards, 2 touches.
Balling.
And so that makes a difference in this game. And also, like Jackson Berry, again, I think it nullifies. When you start going position by position, there's an equal sign that you got to get. There's going to be something in that game versus Allen that's going to make this shift because you can't just point to one thing and say, okay, well, yeah, they got this guy and he's going to take over the game. I don't think that's going to be the case in this situation.
I don't think that Prosper will have issues necessarily keeping up point for point. The problem will be defensively because, like you said, you want to talk about the running backs? That's fine. I get it. Allen wants to run the spread. That's all right. But last week, what did they do when they couldn't throw the ball? They lined it up. They committed to the run. Manning led them to the promised land. They're very capable. If the pass isn't there, we can switch to whatever we need to do and go ahead and chameleon this and just turn into whatever we have to do to win that football game.
It's going to be an interesting matchup.
We're going to build it up. We'll hype it up. I just think it'll end up being the same as it always is in that district when there's that next best team against Allen.
Beat you into submission, Chuck.
Allen has just killed me, guys. I can't get excited about another team unless it's at Duncanville or somebody that's got elite superstars.
We're potentially going to talk to Brian Sutcliffe, the voice of the Prosper Eagles here, probably in hour number 4 tonight. So in the 10 o'clock hour sometime, we're going to talk to Brian. Maybe he'll be able to change your mind a little bit on whether or not Prosper can beat Allen.
No, look at that face. He's like,
you kidding me? I couldn't convince him that Mike Brown with over 100 yards on less than 12 carries.
The voice of the Prosper Eagles is going to come on and hype up Prosper, and that's going to make me change my mind about their matchup against Allen.
Brian Sutcliffe is one of the most unbiased human beings on and off.
I love Brian, but he loves him some Prosper Eagles, and I love him for it. But all right. He's not going to be unbiased when he's talking about if they have a chance against Allen. He told us they did last year and how that turned out.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
It happens every year.
I think this is a better Prosper team than last year, though, and I don't think
we
this
can
is
ask
as good
that.
of a.
That's a great
I don't think
question.
this is as good of an Allen team as last year's.
I do agree with that,
but we'll talk about that coming up a little bit later as well. Saxe on the road against Wiley. Wiley leading this football game earlier, but Saxe has stormed back a little bit as well. Is this surprising with at least in the middle of that fourth quarter. Now, this football game's not over with yet. 21-16 is the score. Saxe is up on top. However, hold the phone. Wiley is on the 1 yard line. Second and goal with 52 seconds left in the game.
Look out for these Wiley Pirates tonight. And Amo, they're showing up.
Yeah.
They're playing up to Saxe.
And you know what? The one thing that I was looking for is Saxe's defense to make a stance, and they just hadn't happened. And it's proven tonight. My guy Mac Elroy is doing everything for the Pirates. So there's a lot of ammo going on right now.
Ammo gonna kick your butt.
Ammo gonna do it. Marcus McElroy is making a lot of the difference on both sides, passing and running. But I mean, evenly matched game when you look at the turnovers and penalties and first downs, and so it doesn't surprise me. I said it before about 10-6A just being a tough division with all of those teams. Anything can happen.
It can.
And that's what I meant. Anything can happen because every team is a rivalry because they're all so close and evenly matched.
Yeah, the gap between 1 and 8 ain't that big.
No, sir.
No. I mean, you're being proven right by this Wiley team right now. You're exactly right. Now they've got to convert. They've got to find their way into the end zone,
and they're going in for the win here potentially.
Yeah, with 53 seconds left. That's exactly right.
So that would be a big victory for Wiley.
That would be a big, no doubt. And on the other hand,
I think it'd be a bigger loss. Yeah.
Oh man, big. Now I think Wiley's one of the only teams that can legitimately beat Saxe, in my opinion, within this district. This is a tough game on the road. I still don't know that the Naaman Forest of the world are going to beat Saxe. Mm-hmm. But then again, who knows? I guess you're right. Maybe if Saxe's playing down to some of these teams, you never know. That's why we play them.
It's not, and Chuck, it's not about playing down. What? Interception?
I'll wait for Kyle's cue.
You want me to do it?
No, go for it, yeah.
I mean, mine hasn't refreshed yet, so you go for it, actually.
Wiley scored with 44 seconds left. They went for 2, so they're up 22-21. They went for 2. The 2-point conversion failed. So Wiley is currently up 22-21. There's 44 seconds left.
Field goal wins it for Saxe.
And I don't know the timeout scenario for Saxe. How many times did we see Saxe in these kind of games last year?
And they usually fall up on the wrong end of them, if I'm not mistaken.
That Coppell game they lost to Caden Davis.
Caden Davis from the parking lot, man.
The 57-yarder.
That's what they're going to need tonight. They're going to need to channel their inner Caden Davis and go hit a 50-plus yarder as time expires at Wiley. That's incredible.
Shoot.
Saxe's about to win it.
Wow, that's bold.
We need to send somebody with Saxe every week.
Every week.
They're
like Matt Stafford and the Detroit Lions, just always down by like 4 with 30 seconds left, no timeouts. Here we go.
Yeah, and both of these squads taking on Garland teams next week. Garland naming Forest for Saxe, and then Garland for Wiley.
Well, they get a bounce back game.
Are you liking naming Forest
Saxe
against
Saxe gets a bounce back game.
You like naming Forest against Saxe next week?
Yeah, of course. Yes, absolutely.
We'll revisit.
No, it's not until about week 7 before they go on their 3-game run.
I'm not putting it past the Rangers, man. This is crazy. I really thought Saxe would roll through this district.
And we'll talk about this game here in a little bit and kind of come back to it as it concludes. Let's move on to West Mesquite on the road against Denton Ryan. And
the Ryan gotten worse than earlier when we checked on it?
Yes.
Well, Amani Bailey we saw starting off our highlight reel just going ham. So and they're without their guy Drew Sanders, and they're still getting it done. It's just nice to see that they're able to make plays through the air, from the quarterback position. Last year they had to manufacture quarterback play with Wildcat stuff and just Drew Sanders go be the man. And he is the man, and that can take you to a certain point. But when you talk about getting over that hump in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round of that playoff, you got to be able to throw the football. And Hennigan looks like he's really grown this year.
Absolutely. 12 of 14, 240 yards. 5 touchdowns for Seth Hennigan tonight. Woo! And we saw some games like that last year, but another year of maturation.
Seems like he's putting it together more consistency.
He was just a sophomore last year. That jump from sophomore to junior year, big for Seth Hennigan. But it looks like Heckman's not really buying this. And I'm kind of with you. I think the competition yet to be desired. Nothing against the Wranglers there. I think that they've got themselves a heck of a
wearing Wranglers.
Heck of a team. I do. I love the Wranglers. But Denton Ryan is going to do this to most of the teams that they're about to start playing within their district.
They are.
Probably all of them.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing about Denton Ryan, that we literally have to watch them just parade through this district all the way into the playoffs.
Well, this wasn't a district game. This was their first but they will do this
parade
to everyone else.
all the way through.
Well, it's a shame that Birdville's not the same. Like we thought maybe that could be the one
do we
game
think that
where is
maybe
it?
I think they played the last week of the season.
Yeah, it's late. It's
so
late.
It's the Birdville defense that's really struggling right now, correct?
Correct.
So do we think that maybe that Hawk defense can...
You're not going to talk me into that, so don't even plant that seed. It will not grow.
I want Heckman to be Birdville.
Yeah, let's get Heckman. Let's get Heckman on the Birdville train.
No way.
Come on, man. It's Ladarius Mixon and company. Heckman, don't you forget.
The thing that I know right now about Denton Ryan is getting a Monty Bailey off, but also, man, Billy Bowman Jr. is balling. I mean, and that's the part about their offense last year. When we were back here last year, the first 3 games, they couldn't get anything done through the air. So like you said, just seeing them be able to pass the ball, that says a lot about them, and that's the thing that's going to carry them through is their passing game, because we know they can run the ball. We know when they get into any of those specialty offensive trick plays that they have, we know that if they just put Thor in, he's going to score a touchdown for them. I mean, come on.
Anytime they need it.
And so defensively, they are as stout of a defense as there is in the city, but again, it all comes down to playoff football and getting against those teams that have the coach that can play at every facet of the game, but also great coaching.
You need it. So teams that can exploit the fact that Ryan's playing all their guys both ways.
Yeah,
that's really what it is. Drew Sanders playing both ways. Jatavian Sanders playing both ways. Billy Bowman Jr. playing both ways. That when you can exploit that, and especially in an offense, that's what Highland Park's caught him at. That tempo, they're getting exhausted having to keep up with that Highland Park offense when they're playing defense. So they come back out, they don't have that same juice offensively. And then, yes, it's come down to quarterback play. Now, when they had Spencer Sanders, that wasn't the case. But when you have to play these guys both ways against some of the elite competition, that's been the issue for Denton Ryan down the stretch. And you're right. Coaching. I mean, I love Dave Hennigan as a coach. I think he's one of the better ones out there. But Randy Allen has had his number in the postseason. Yeah. That's the only guy. That's the only guy that's found a way to beat him.
Well, that's the problem, because he's going to be there again, right? And so for Hennigan, literally, it's getting his offense off. And you can see that that's what he's prepping for right now when he's throwing the ball. And you see Bowman, 5 catches, 129 yards, 3 touchdowns. He knows that that's what's going to get him to the next level. But also, one of the gift and the curse for Ryan is they have such exceptional athletes. Right. I mean, if you have a Drew Sanders sitting over there, Mr. can do it all, and you need a play to be made, you don't leave something desired. You say, come on, let's come in here and do what needs to be done. And the same thing with Billy Bowman Jr. He's one of the best DBs in the whole state. And so and not only that, he's more athletic than every other guy there is at the wide receiver position. So it's like, if I'm Hennigan, I understand the problem that he has. It's a good problem to have. But when it comes down to guys getting tired and the up-tempo, and you can take advantage of that, that's what ends up happening, because his guys are gassed at the end of games.
Yeah, and the happiest guy on that offense and that whole team about having the newfound passing game is Amani Bailey, because now he's not seeing these 7, 8, sometimes even 9-man boxes, and he doesn't have to fight for every single yard that he gets, and it takes the pressure off him. He doesn't have to carry the weight of the entire offense until they throw Drew Sanders in there from time to time.
And that will be the key for Denton Ryan. They also haven't been able to establish the run in those previous games against Highland Park, which then eliminates Amani Bailey, so you're forced now to play.
Well, because they've been coming into the games one-dimensional. So Highland Park, they're smart enough to know that we're going to force you to be able to. We're going to force you to throw the ball if you're going to beat us, and they know they can't. But if they can come into a game now where they're a little bit more well offense, last year in particular.
Overall, and there's some final scores starting to roll in that we haven't necessarily talked about. Kimball takes down Thomas Jefferson 63-0. Dallas Kimball showing it off a little bit. Denton Braswell over Frisco Memorial 56-27. This is a game that we didn't talk about a whole lot, but it's a big win nonetheless. Euless Trinity over Tyler John Tyler 27-10. That's a good Tyler John Tyler team overall, and Trinity took them down. Now, the game across the way also has gone final at the Ford Center as Frisco takes down Lebanon Trail in emphatic fashion, 76-28. They put up 76 points. They had, 21 at halftime?
Right, while we were standing there.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, I thought they had like 40 at halftime.
I don't know. I mean, either way, but regardless, 76 points at any point.
You're right. They did only have 20-something.
I think they blew up in that second half, but the Frisco Raccoons taking down Lebanon Trail at the Ford Center across the way, and another win for the Frisco Raccoons. They're now 4-0 on the season this year.
They look pretty good. They got a bunch of athletes out there. I like the way that they look literally just as far as the movement of their offense and how tough their running back is. I mean, God, this guy just like literally ran over the ball.
He plays on both sides of the ball too. He puts his nose in there on defense as well.
Their skill players are pretty talented. They're athletic for sure.
Yeah, they've got a lot going on there. We'll be back here in a moment. We're going to continue on reporting final scores from around the area, giving you highlights as well. By the way, there's a tie ball game in Mansfield as Mansfield Summit has now come back and tied the ball game up with Mansfield Timberview. We'll give you a look from our very own Lincoln Reveal, who is on the score. How about this? A 99-yard touchdown for the Jaguars on a fumble recovery on the 1-yard line. Could this game get any more nuts?
This is insane.
That is amazing.
Any more nuts?
That is great.
Friday Night Stars.
Come on, Summit. I need you to win, Summit.
Oh, my
Let's go,
goodness.
Jags. Let's go, Jags.
Hi there, this is Dak Prescott. When it comes time to shop for my tailgate favorites, I go to my stores, Albertsons and Tom Thumb, where they offer fresh organics and large assortments of local produce and sell only USDA choice meats. Get 10% off of your groceries every Dallas Cowboy game day when you wear your Cowboy jerseys. Albertsons and Tom Thumb, the winning combination and the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys.
Gear up for back to sport at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Ashley Home Store, the #1 furniture and mattress store in America. We have all the major mattress brands at a guaranteed low price. Plus, we have furniture for every room in the house and decorator accessories to make it yours. With multiple locations, personalized service from knowledgeable associates, and convenient finance plans to fit your budget. Ashley Home Store, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys. This is home.
I mean, if you haven't thought about switching to Geico, frankly, you're missing out. The mobile app makes it easy to manage your policy, even way out here.
Your marshmallows.
Get digital ID cards, emergency roadside service, even follow. Whoa. Oops. That cheeky little thing got away from me. My bad.
Geico. It's easy to manage your policy whenever, wherever.
Can I trouble you for another marshmallow?
Get excited, Whataburger fans. Our one-of-a-kind mushroom Swiss burger is back.
And now it's an all-time favorite.
If you love mushrooms, you're gonna love this burger.
The double cheese, the mushrooms was absolutely amazing.
It's a really good balance between the mushrooms and the Swiss, and that au jus sauce on top.
The creamy au jus sauce.
It really complements the mushrooms. Everything just works perfectly together.
It's just perfect. Every bite's perfect.
It's not just a mushroom Swiss burger, it's a Whataburger mushroom Swiss burger.
Whataburger Friday Night Stars, and I talked about the wild ball game overall. Wow. 69-yard touchdown run.
Nice. It's a big play. I mean, Brandon Searles.
Perfect. How about Mansfield Summit here, boys?
Wow. Taking the lead.
Two massive touchdowns.
Hey, what's that, 69-yarder?
Yeah, you said it.
It came after the 99-yard touchdown.
What
So
a
you had
play.
the 99-yard fumble return for a touchdown, then the 69-yard touchdown pass.
That's awesome.
The Summit Jags have flipped this game on its head.
Holy smokes.
Not what you were expecting tonight, baby.
And that's the thing is Mansfield has led this game for the entirety of the ball. I mean, they were up
your Tigers. Dude,
7-0.
you've been feeling so good.
I was feeling great.
First of all, guys,
I thought I was going to win this
the
one.
Stars are coming together. I think Heckman's about to have the greatest pick-em night of all time.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
That
Let's
Heckman's
jinx
ever
him.
had.
Are you jinxing him?
Yeah.
I'm in on the
I'm
jinx.
throwing everything I can out there, Eric.
Yeah, Heckman's going to have a great
Oh,
night tonight.
Heckman's having a night.
Really big night for Heckman in the predictions.
Next.
Heckman, take a bow. Can we get a close-up on Heckman? Let's just have him
Yeah.
celebrate. Do a little shoulder dance. Give me something, baby.
There it is.
Yeah. Use that little truffle
victory
shuffle.
dance.
That was sly. I like
big
that.
week for
No,
you, Heckman.
you've been on the money tonight, my
So-
friend. I'll give credit where credit's due. You
Gotta
have
give
been
it then.
on it tonight.
And it makes me sad.
Well, you know what,
Why
dude?
is it? No.
You came back down to earth. We knew that would happen. Heckman's always been my toughest competition.
You had a long ride at the top there, Yeomans,
Meteoric
for about
rise.
6 days.
Well, yeah, for a little bit of time, and that has now gone to the wayside. Man,
But that
what a
Lone
game!
Star pick, you can live off that all year.
I can
Yeah.
live off of that.
That was huge.
Which is, I don't like living off of that because I've worked for Highland Park before, and I don't like that.
Well,
I like my
way to bring the
Scotties.
mood down.
That's okay. Overall, we've got a couple other games that we've got to get to that are pretty impressive throughout the area. I do want to go back to that. We don't have a graphic or anything, but Heckman, you mentioned in the break like how big that Euless Trinity win over John Tyler actually was. I mean, Euless Trinity's rolling right now.
Yeah, they have been. I mean, they've been doing it since the beginning, and we thought that with all the talent that they lost, they wouldn't be able to do anything. But nope. No, they're right back into the beginning. Well, at the beginning of
Euless Trinity.
Well, there they are, man.
Hundreds and hundreds of years.
Hey, man, that's what they commit to the run like no other. And with Irvin, their quarterback, they're just dominating.
Yeah, they've been really impressive so far. You know who else has been impressive? The Arlington Colts.
Say his name.
How's Chris Sims?
Say his name.
How's Chris Sims?
Chris Sims is
said that in
balling.
unison.
Do you even have to ask
Hey,
Walchuk?
Chris,
You know he's
no.
having.
Wait a minute. The fan club is producing, and I'm going to tell you, Chris Sims, 4 TDs, 201 yards. Look, man, this kid, what is this? We're going to go to rushing here? 86 yards rushing for Sims. He's doing it. I mean, what's that? Jahari who?
Ooh,
4 weeks later.
Jahari.
I don't know about that. I was just about to say
we should-
Jahari Rogers.
We should probably give some love to the offensive system, though, too. You
Yeah,
know, I mean,
Peach.
it's clearly they can rotate whoever they need to at quarterback, and they're prepared to execute this offensive
What a
system.
move.
Chris Sims has been brilliant since week one, man. He has really taken over the reins there. Now, he does have 2 interceptions today, but that's a Horn defense. It's got some athletes on that side of the football without question. But Chris Sims is doing it again. Arlington, man, look out. The Colts are stacking together quite the program under Mr. Peach.
Yeah, they continue to win football games, and they do it emphatically. I mean, this is not a downright bad Mesquite Horn team, but overall, the Jags have just not necessarily they're just not enough for the Colts, to say the least. And I think Arlington's kind of emerged themselves as, like you said, a solid, consistent program throughout DFW year in and year out. Which is tough to do with so many schools in the area.
Yeah, the Colts' big playability is what it's really all about, and so they're proving that tonight.
No doubt about it, and they continue to win football games. Rockwall doing the same thing over Arlington. Martin leading this one big time. Arlington and the Rockwall Yellow Jackets, rather, pretty solid overall. And we talked about Jackson Smith-Jiba in that first half. 4 touchdowns for the Ohio State commit, and Rockwall continues to roll.
I mean, between 2 defenders, Braden Locke throws that ball. Jiba goes up and gets that. I mean,
oh boys,
wouldn't
you
call
want
it
to know?
perfect, but that's awesome.
You want to know Braden Locke's stat line?
Let's talk about it.
Pretty
Give
impressive.
It to me.
342 yards.
Wow,
that's balling.
How many touchdowns?
You want to guess?
I would think. Well, he had 4 in the first
5.
half. I would think at least 5.
Not 5.
Not 6.
6.
Oh, really?
Wow.
6 touchdowns.
Wow.
He does have
Jeez.
1 interception, so not the perfect
Come
game
on,
for
Braden.
But
do better and be better.
the sophomore sensation leading Rockwall.
I'm calling him the golden child.
Oh, you know what, man?
I would
I'm not,
had he not thrown that pick. Doesn't sit well. 6-to-1 touchdown interception ratio.
Not good enough for you?
He's only a sophomore, right?
Chris Kraft on the ground, though, for Martin, 157 yards on just 12 carries and a touchdown. So Martin's continued to run the ball well. We knew if Rockwall could go ahead and make it a track meet where they're going to have to throw the ball, put up some quick scores, it was going to be tough for Martin with Zach Mundell at quarterback. This is a play defense, run first team, much like Euless Trinity, and Rockwall has made it their kind of game. Clearly through the air with Jackson Smith and Braden Locke. That might be this year's law form, Heckma. Last year it was Tisdale and Weiss. This year it might be Locke and Jackson Smith.
I said it from the beginning, man. Jackson Smith would be this year's Theo Weiss just from what he was doing in 7-on-7. The kid was showing out. But at the same time, the thing that worries me about Rockwall is that it seems like every week they're having to outscore their opponents. And so the one thing about you know what Longview is going to do, they're tough in the running game. And that's their pride is their running game. They're going to bring that.
And they gave up 299 yards on the ground tonight.
That's a problem. And
that's
so
tough.
One of the things you looked at it with Prosper, we were talking about that earlier. If you're a team that want to make it to the next level, you're not going to be able to give up those kinds of rushing yards. And you know that Longview is a veteran team that's going to be able to challenge them in that area. But again, if you get into a shootout with these guys, Braden Locke he's locked and loaded, and he doesn't have a safety valve on his thing. He's going off, and he will throw that ball. 528 yards total, 2 turnovers. They got to clean that up. But look, penalties, guys, 1 penalty for 5 yards, 21 first downs. They have dominated this game from start to finish.
I don't know what game guys pick to go to next week. He does his preseason schedule. We might need to make sure we send him to Longview.
That's the
for
one.
some Rockwall Longview action.
That's the one.
Tell him to watch out for his fingers when Haynes King is out there.
Oh, my God. I might break out in a cold sweat.
Yeah, I think you might.
I'm telling you, Haynes King and Longview, they're rolling. But I'm looking. This is one of the matchups that I'm definitely looking forward to. And I had no idea that Braden Locke was going to be the player that he was. And he's been living high on the hog since the first week of the season.
Yep.
With the loss, I mean, just imagine that in a loss to Highland Park. We just got an opportunity to see a glimpse of how good this kid is. But man, 342 yards today passing. Where does this end? I mean, well,
that's the thing. Is Eric said this as a joke a moment ago, and he said he's just a sophomore, right? Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, where
That's
he goes
scary.
from here is pretty scary. Now, granted, he's not going to have the all-world wide receiver in Njiba next to him after this year, but still, looks like Locke is a stud. And Nick Harris came in, even before we saw him play a single snap. Nick Harris said it, all offseason long during 7-on-7 and whatnot. Like, everybody felt good about the shoes being filled of Jacob Clark. This guy Locke is going to be able to do that, and then he's stepped up all season long, and it started against Chandler Morris, and then I think that gives you confidence. You've seen that he can step up, show that he's still the man, and next week against Haynes King, he's going to have to do that. Now this time it's going to be on the road against a championship team once again, but the last time, remember, he had a great game, and at the end he made the one mistake. Mm-hmm. Today you saw him again. It didn't cost him whatsoever, but he did have that one interception. That game next week against the Lobos, similar to Highland Park, that one interception can be the difference between a win and a loss, and that's the difference sometimes between the sophomore young kid who is a stud and is going to be the man over the next couple of years, but when you're going up against the veteran guy who's been there, done that, it's just a one less mistake, and let's see if he can do that next week.
Well, here's the thing that we got. Let's just talk about stats for this kid right now, all right? 60 completions on 101 attempts, 59% completion rating, all right? 1,232 yards already through 4 games.
He's pushing the ball down the field.
Okay, 13 touchdowns, 1 interception. So, look, this is obviously going to be a shootout next week. Obviously, he's going to have the best receiver on the field. It's going to come down to something completely different that's going to win this game. Now, the problem is that the Yellow Jackets are just giving up way too much on defense.
That's why they're going to lose next week.
That's going to be one of the big problems. But we say that, but then again, if you get them in a situation where you score, they'll come back, they'll score also.
But there comes down to a point where you trust that Lobo defense to get a stop, right? And I don't think you trust Rockwall to get a stop, especially in a critical moment.
To that point, Haynes King, one of the reasons that he's been so good since he's been the starter at Longview is he's always secured the ball. He hasn't been the guy that's made that costly turnover to cost Longview a football game. You saw it all last year, and he's played in a lot of these big games. That's going to be a tough environment, big test. You can maybe say that this test against Longview is a bigger test than what he faced at home against Highland Park. On the road against the defending 6A Division II state champions, I think that Longview game is going to be the biggest test thus far of Braden Locke's career.
And a lot of it has to do with being on the road, hostile environment. Like, that is going to play a huge role, especially when you talk about a sophomore quarterback. Like, this will be one of the biggest games he's ever played in, and it'll be in a hostile environment.
Yeah, I would agree with that completely. I mean, playing at home against a team like Arlington Martin and a team like Highland Park is nothing compared to playing in Longview. And we're going to see exactly what the sophomore has from that exchange. We've seen over the last couple of weeks what DeSoto has. Oh man, these DeSoto Eagles look pretty good.
Heck,
and they wax
that bandwagon.
Yeah, they wax Waxahachie in a big time way tonight. And I mean, Heckma, you were on this bandwagon pretty early because you got to see this DeSoto team up close and personal on one of those Saturday games. But they do it again tonight, man. I mean, this is a DeSoto team that continues to roll.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's spell his first name Jyison, so I've called him Jason. Jason Brown at the running back, 29 carries, 143 yards. They're very patient in their running game. That's what they want to do. And once they lull you to sleep with that, Samari Collier throws the ball over the top. You know, and guys, I want to make this abundantly clear when I talk about Samari Collier, because his throwing ability, I think there's not enough said about that. And because he's been such a surprise to everyone, as the week goes by, as he gets through the district, people are going to start to understand that this kid has a serious arm. His receivers, Lawrence Arnold is a guy to the Kansas commit, he's a guy, like I said, a long strider, but also the guy that they have at their flanker position, number 1, Jordan Brown. Remember that kid's name. Fast.
Big play guy.
He is a big play guy. He also does punt return for them as well, but literally in the slot position, he's a guy that catches the ball one step, he is gone. And so they have a lot of speed, but the one thing that I'm most impressed with, guys, if it doesn't show up in these stats that we're looking at, is their defensive dominance. I mean, they have some kids on there. Literally, like a couple of these kids walk through the door, like they're bigger than the door. So I mean,
they've only allowed 32 yards rushing against Waxahachie here tonight, and wow, I mean, DeSoto,
I'm telling you,
their front seven's loaded. We've talked about the talent that they've got on the back end. This is a very complete football team. Now that Samari Collier's taken over and proven not only is he a good runner, but his arm is the real deal. They've got talent on the outside. I think DeSoto is a lot better than people thought they would be coming into the year. And they're DeSoto, and they're always going to be a contender to make the playoffs. But I think this is a legit state champion contender rising before our eyes.
And you have to start looking at this, and because everyone has basically, you look at all these other divisions, we talk about who's going to take down Allen, right? And we start building up these teams to say, okay, let's look through the district, let's see who can actually do it, right? Prosper is that team that we're looking at right now that we think they can do it in their district. But we got to look right across the town and say that DeSoto, in a winner-takes-all situation, they have a team that is being built right now that can take on DeSoto and do exactly what DeSoto does. I'm telling you, player for player, they have it. DeSoto has it. And so it's going to be one of the – I'm so excited about I just hope they end up being in the same division. I don't see one of those teams being in Division II. If they do, that's going to make things very uncomfortable for the Longviews of the world.
It was 4 years in a row, I think they met in the area round, and Allen got the best of a lot of really, really good DeSoto teams. So revenge would be oh so sweet for those Eagle fans, the DeSoto Eagle fans.
DeSoto. I'm starting to slowly but surely put them higher on the list in terms of state championship contenders. And like you said, I love the point that you made, Heckma, about the fact that they're building the team right now. I mean, this is the squad that they're building to potentially go into a winner-take-all situation and come out on top. Now, moving on to Mansfield Legacy on the road against Lancaster, and this is a Mansfield Legacy team. We talked about it last week whenever they fell to Mansfield 37-7. They just don't have it this year. And this is a Lancaster team that it seems like they have a little bit more from a team perspective than they had even last year overall.
Yeah, well, because they got the quarterback position sort of figured out. He's a young guy as well. We talk about these young stud quarterbacks. Well, Lancaster's got a guy that they're into, and he's been playing pretty well for them. Now, when you look at them and see what they're getting at tonight, I mean, we know about their defense. They have studs across the board. I mean, really, Lancaster's got one of the better rosters through and through. They got 5 seniors in the top 100. We talk about sort of the studs they have. LaRondo Johnson at the cornerback position, who's going to go play at LSU. He's an SEC stud at the cornerback spot, and they've just put it on Legacy tonight, and we knew this was going to happen. Legacy, this is just a down year for them. It's a shame they lost a lot of good players last year, and Mansfield, the talent's so spread out, it's just not Legacy's year. But Lancaster getting it done. Glenn Rice Jr. at the quarterback spot. Didn't have to go crazy tonight, just 110 yards through the air, but on the ground, man, Trey Bradford getting it done, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns. DQ James, we talked about him as well, the two-headed monster between him and Bradford. He's only got 3 carries. He's got 92 yards and 2 scores. The dude's just a big play threat. And then Glenn Rice Jr., the quarterback, we talked about him. Kind of a mild game through the air, but 65 yards on the ground and 1 touchdown. And just an overall dominant defensive performance for Lancaster, where they've been ran on a little bit, but when you're up by that much, it doesn't matter if it's teams running on you. They can't throw on you. They're throwing for 34 yards in the game. Lancaster just absolutely dominated him, and it's what we expected. Glenn Rice Jr., it's really going to come down to Glenn Rice Jr. this year and how much he can improve and grow throughout his sophomore season. He's been well, he's been good, he's got good players, and the good thing for them is they pack a really good defense and a really, really good run game. If he can just not screw it up, he can take him a decently far. But at the end of the day, when you have a sophomore quarterback who's not a world beater, that's probably going to end up being their Achilles heel. But Glenn Rice Jr. stepped in and played pretty well for Lancaster.
Well, you got to go to the fact of Trey Bradford on this, and I think that Trey Bradford, big playability for him, and I. One of the great things about football is you always know what calms a young quarterback, and that is a good running back. And I believe
they got 2,
and they got they got a few of those guys over there. And the thing about Lancaster that you also have to say is that the defense, that's all they've really needed as a quarterback that make those costly mistakes.
No doubt.
And now they're in a position to do that. Last year they just didn't have that. Even though they did have the running game, it was just the turnovers that were killing them. Now they got an opportunity to display that, but again, in their district, they have really
they've got Highland Park,
right?
And so, if you're going to go and beat Highland Park, you're probably going to need Glenn Rice Jr. to make a couple of throws for you.
Exactly.
When that time comes, can he do it? Now they don't have to go to Highlander like they did last year. They'll get HP at home,
and that'll be a heck of a game.
That'll be fun. They had Highland Park on the ropes a little bit on the road last year, so I'm excited to see that one. I think defensively they can match up with Chandler Morris in that offense. I think they can absolutely take away some of those receivers of Highland Park. So that's going to really be on Chandler Morris and his legs in the running game of the Scotties, whereas for Lancaster, it'll be the opposite. Highland Park defensively will want to take away that run game and Trey Bradford. Then you force Rice Jr. It all comes full circle. We're talking about Glenn Rice Jr. He's going to have to make that play in that game. Can he do it?
But it is a veteran Lancaster team. We know Glenn Rice Jr. is a young buck, but they had 7 starters returning and on both sides of the ball. James Grace on the D-line, he sort of leads it, but they got a lot of depth and a lot of speed, not only on that defense, but especially on that defensive line. Like they'll be able to get after Morris quite a bit. I really think that would be a super, super fun game, especially since Lancaster gets them at home.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is getting him at home as opposed to Highlander. Excuse me for
I was just going to say that Allen, you know what he's going to do. He's going to commit to taking away the run and daring Glenn Rice Jr. to beat him.
But what's their weakness? What's Highland Park's weakness? The pass defense.
Yeah, but and even with that, Chuck, he's going to have to prove that he can do it, and he's going to have one of his receivers is going to have that Monster Mims kind of night
Monster Mims.
He's got to have a Monster Mims night in order to beat these guys. But again, that's the one part about Lancaster that they always run into, and they run into a Highland Park team that can do what they do a little bit better and take away because Chandler Morris is obviously a stud.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Another ball club that we've kind of been at least keeping our eye on, as always, it's South Oak Cliff.
That's my hood.
There we go. And along with Red Oak, a Red Oak club that's kind of been flying under the radar this year. Well, not so long, or not for long.
Not so fast.
Not so fast. Not for long. I kind of mixed the two of them up there.
We understood.
Red Oak's right in the middle of this ball game right now, and continuing to play very impressive football overall against South Oak Cliff. Heckma?
It's the turnovers, man.
It is.
It's big.
It is, and that's the tell of the tape. Turnovers and penalties. You look at every other facet of the game. South Oak Cliff is leading in first downs. I mean, they've basically controlled the ball, controlled the clock, and also when it came down time to punch it in, they're turning it over in costly situations. It's the same thing that happened in the Alito game. It's just continuing to happen. And some of those things, if they continue to plague you, it doesn't matter the talent that you have on the team. You're going to continue to have these ugly losses like this, and this is one that they really couldn't have. This is district, game. You don't want to, lay one down to at home. You don't want to do that. And look, I keep going back over each and every time the fact that South Oak Cliff has the athletes to beat anyone. It's just the things that get you beat, the intangibles, the penalties, and the turnovers. Those are the parts, and also special teams, not being able to kick the ball, not being able to, receive the ball and not turn it over. And so that's killing them, man.
Yeah, Rodney Hudson has had some big interceptions in this one. And I think this is a final. I'm showing it's a final 28-21. Red Oak with the victory, and the fact that they were able to run the football. C.J. Palmer, 22 carries, 117 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was the Sock defense last year, man. That was a hard day at the office. You weren't getting over 100 yards rushing against the Golden Bears this time last year.
No, and they have all of the talent with linebacker Jai Jones and some of the other guys. I mean, literally, it's a D1 smorgasbord for these guys with the players that they have. I just don't understand a loss like this. But again, I'm discounting the fact that Red Oak is a team that can score.
No doubt.
And they have proven over the last couple of weeks that they can score the football, and they've been doing it. Shout out to C.J. Palmer, 22 carries, 117 yards, 2 touchdowns, and I mean they got it done, and deservedly so. 28-21, a very competitive game. They didn't
for sure.
They didn't run
Absolutely.
away with it by a long shot, but there's just certain things that you point to in the game if you're a coach, if you're an evaluator of talent that says, look, this is going to get you beat every time.
It's the turnovers.
It's the turnovers.
4 turnovers
penalties.
to 1. And the penalties, 100%.
And credit to Red Oak's defense for being able to shut out your guy, Cam Davis. Only had 14 carries for 43 yards. He did have a touchdown, but only averaged 3 yards per carry today. And that's really their best offensive weapon. Rodney Hudson had to carry had to shoulder the weight on the run, in the run game, and passing wise, he couldn't pass whatsoever, which we've sort of become accustomed to. But Cam Davis, they did a good job. Red Oak did of sort of containing him and forcing Rodney Hudson to be the man.
Yeah, that's Cam Davis, and you look for. I look for, especially for this part of the season for South Oak Cliff, because they're going to have the Kimball game that's coming up. That's going to be a big game. South Oak Cliff and Kimball is not the team that you had before that was a pushover team. So South Oak Cliff has some trouble. And what I'm saying, and they're going to have to fight and claw to get through the rest of this to get to the playoffs. And so it's not going to be a cakewalk like it was last year. They're going to face some adversity, and they're going to have to get some things corrected on that defense, because obviously giving up 28 points tonight to a Red Oak offense that is good, and they may not face another offense like this, but if they want to make a run for the state title, which is what it seems to be the standard is set now, they're going to have to change some things.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting the South Oak Cliff team at that halftime break to kind of turn it on, and I wasn't really worried about this, but that's a statement win for Red Oak, and I think that's a ball club that we've got to pay attention to now, no doubt about it, because anytime you can beat a South Oak Cliff caliber team at that division and in that district, you got to earn some respect. Another team that has earned some respect over the last couple of weeks, no doubt about it. It's them Prosper Eagles. Man, they have been impressive so far, and we've got the voice of the Prosper Eagles, Brian Sutcliffe, on the phone with us right now. And Brian, first off, welcome back to Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Glad to hear from you again this year. And you've seen some pretty good football over the last couple of weeks and a big-time win tonight over McKinney. How impressed have you been of this Prosper squad so far?
Gentlemen, it's been far too long. Thanks for having me on. Again, always great to visit with you guys. It's been a lot of fun watching this team. over the last couple of weeks. After the first 2 weeks of the season, I think they really took care of business against teams that they would expect to be able to handle with some ease. They dominated both Rowlett and Timber Creek. And then the question was what was going to happen when they really started punching up in class and when they went out to Flower Mound. And a lot of folks in the area really expected Prosper to struggle on the road against a team with a lot of offensive weapons, ranked in the top 10 in the area. And they punched Flower Mound in the mouth, led 36-0 at the half. And I think that created an interesting narrative for Prosper, because then they come out to McKinney ISD Stadium this week, and the narrative is different. So now it's, all right, Prosper's now the hunted, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. No doubt about it.
Yeah, sorry, I thought I lost you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, just fine.
Oh, good. So the question was, how are they going to respond from that victory against a good McKinney team that has put up huge offensive numbers? And, Prosper went out again tonight and just took care of business. And it was McKinney ended up around 300 yards. Some of that was late. Lamarier Ransom, who is a really talented tailback. It was fun to watch him tonight. But until the fourth quarter, he really had a hard time getting anything going, as did the McKinney offense overall. They're averaging 500 yards a game. I think they had 100 yards at halftime. And Prosper just absolutely shut him down. And it was just another testament to what Bill Robertson and the defensive staff there at Prosper's doing. Brandon Schmidt has got a really complete ball club right now, and it's been a lot of fun to watch them, because it doesn't matter which unit they're sending out there on the field. They feel really good about their chances to be successful on any snap of the football, and it's just been a lot of fun to watch so far.
Brian, Zach Wolchuk here with you, and I was blown away by how well Prosper played against Flower Mound. I was one of those. I thought the Jags offense with Blake Short and Pierce Hudgens, I thought they were going to give Prosper a challenge, and I like McKinney as well. I thought the Eagles would win tonight, but the way and the emphatic way that they beat McKinney is extremely impressive to me, specifically on the defensive side. I think we knew that Prosper's offense would be good, but on defense, is this a better unit than they were a year ago?
Probably. I think the defense was solid last year. I think they're seeing some guys that were sophomores and juniors a season ago that are taking the next step. So you've got Aiden Ciano last year as a sophomore, was the district newcomer of the year. He is a man in the middle of that defense. He's basically like a defensive coordinator on the field. He's going to be, I think, a big-time prospect by the time his senior year next year is over. You've got Josh Graham. He's like a captain in the secondary, a young man who saw a lot of time last year. Will Prendergast is a guy, especially in the back half of last year, is a guy that really stepped up and decided to become a leader on this defense and has been a terror. Had a big man touchdown today, so he did some damage offensively too.
Oh, those are the best.
And he's been an absolute terror there in the front. And James Eckroad is a guy who was a starter last year. Malachi Edwards down in the front was a young man who saw a lot of action. So a lot of what they did last year was building to this season, when they've now got a lot of talent at all three levels of the defense. A lot of it is very experienced. And the thing is, they love the guys that are coming in as well as rotational guys. So Bill Robertson will tell you, sure, we have a starting 11, quote unquote, because they're the first guys that go out on the field, but they have absolutely no problem running anyone into their defense. And it just seems like every week it's another guy coming in and making a big play. And it might not be a guy who's one of the first 11 on the field, but they have completely bought in on the team ethic of next man to the ball. They are a unit flying to the football at all times. And so far, no one has solved this defense. And they're going to play really good offenses this year as they continue to proceed through the season. But so far, you've got to give them a solid A on performance through 4 games.
Brian, looking at the offenses, specifically the junior quarterback, Jackson Berry, he's gotten off to a great start this season, double-digit touchdowns, a lot of yards, only 1 interception. What have you seen from him? Can you give us sort of a scouting report on the junior?
Yeah, it's poise and accuracy. So one of the things we heard through the offseason, because Berry scored 6 touchdowns last year, but it was as a Wildcat quarterback. So he certainly saw action as a varsity player, but nothing like he's been thrown into the situation this year as stepping up to be the man. And whenever you talk to anyone around this program through the offseason, they would tell you, man, the guy's just got poise. He's going to get it done. And he has been virtually flawless all season long. It's poise in the backfield. It helps to have the steamrollers. That's what they call their offensive line up front. He hasn't been sacked this year, so he's had good time in the pocket. But when he throws the ball, he is deadly accurate. He puts the ball in the right spot, puts the ball in a position where a receiver is going to pull the ball in with a chance to get yards after catch. And they're tough throws. These are not, dump offs across the middle to a guy running wide open. It's he does have a lot of open receivers because his wide receiving core has been fantastic all season. But when he's got to thread a ball in there, he's able to do it. And nothing has flapped that guy yet. He did have a little bit of pressure, probably saw a little more pressure tonight against McKinney than he's seen in any of the games this year. But, the guy can escape from pressure. If he needs to go get some yards with his feet, he can do it. But he's looking to throw the ball first. And he's finding the ball downfield. Hayden Metcalf had 170 yards receiving tonight, had a couple of touchdowns. He had a big night. You've seen Tyler Bailey and what that young man has done. Prosper didn't have him tonight. So He was banged up, and they put nearly 500 yards on the board against a team that I think expects to compete for a playoff spot in 9-6A. So the sky's really the limit for this offense, and I don't think they've shown how good they can be yet. I think by the end of the season, this should be considered one of the top offenses in the area if it's not already.
Well, I tell you what, Mr. Sutcliffe, this is Heckma Harrison, and the tough question is everyone knows that it's Allen or bust, and that's where everything is leading. And so with the way that your team is playing right now and the offense is rolling, and obviously what they did versus Flower Mound, what gives you more confidence this year that they can actually get it done versus Allen?
Well, if you're going to have any shot against Allen, you got to slow down Raylan Sharp, and it's a young man who so talented, and he's able to hurt you in so many ways. And I think Prosper is building toward putting themselves in the best possible position to go shock the world, right? And that means playing clean football. They don't turn the ball over. You can't make mistakes against Allen. And this is a team that I think they've got a few games to play before that, and Coach Brandon Schmidt's going to tell you it's all about going 1-0 every week. But if they can continue to build on the momentum that they've generated on both offense and defense, they're going to put themselves where they're going to take the field and say we're going to have the best possible chance to pull this out. And no one's been able to do it against Allen in several years now, so who knows? It might not be good enough. But I think they like what they have on both sides of the football, and you go out there and play a clean game. They got a big one against Plano East next week, and that's the one they're going to be focused on. And they're going to hope to stack up good weeks, one on top of the other, to where they continue to evolve as a football team. And if they can continue the evolution as they've started for the first 4 games, hey, why not them?
Hey, there you go. On 1 week at a time, that's what Prosper's looking at, and they look really good throughout the first 4 weeks of the season. Brian Sutcliffe joining us here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Brian, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Let's do it again, guys. Have a good one.
Absolutely. There he goes, Brian Sutcliffe. Always great to talk to Brian.
Just offensive line stat.
Huge.
No sacks allowed.
That right there.
That's big.
Says you might have a chance.
Well, and that also is credit to Barry as well, because he can evade the pressure
and get the ball quick.
He's got some wheels on him as well. He's ran for over 100 yards and almost I think he's got 4 rushing touchdowns as well. So he can move, but that offensive line, that's going to go a long way for Prosper.
They're building a program, and you can tell. I mean, it's one of those things that they're doing it the right way.
Yeah, look at that stadium. You can tell for sure.
Yeah, they're building a program.
They're here to stay, my friend.
They are building a program.
Yeah.
And they may be pretty good for a long time.
Yeah, and one of the benefactors not only of the stadium but of the offensive line, the aforementioned Jackson Berry, our very own Mallory Hartley had a chance to catch up with them. Let's take a look.
Hartley with Whataburger's Friday Night Stars, and here with me I have Prosper's quarterback Jackson Berry. Jackson, you had an incredible game tonight. 281 yards, 4 touchdowns. What an amazing game. So, how are you feeling about tonight's game, and what do you take from this game going forward?
It was a great game, how we came on the road in the first district game and got a win. We got plenty of stuff to clean up, made a lot of mistakes. We're getting filmed tomorrow and see what we did wrong and fix it throughout next week.
It's no lie that you guys struggled with a lot of false start penalties throughout tonight's game. How do you fix this going forward into next week?
I got to be much louder with my cadence. It's loud in the environment in the district games, and I got to be much louder with my clap, and it's my fault that was happening.
Up next, you have Plano East, another district game on the clock. What is this week's preparation going to look like for you guys?
Just hard work through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and mental practice on Thursday and Friday, and film practice, and that's pretty much it.
Great. Thank you, Jackson, and congrats on tonight's game.
Thank you.
So Jackson Berry, I mean, he looks like a veteran in those answers. Mallory's out there asking the tough questions, and he answered them like a champ. Said, "Hey, this is my fault that we had false start penalties. That's me. That's a leader that Prosper's going to need to step up." And I mean, his stat line's there: 4 touchdowns, 281 yards, and I mean, he had a great night. But overall, I mean,
gosh, I'm getting more and more sold on Prosper.
Why
I
not
told
them,
you it was going to
baby?
happen.
Yeah, needs to work on the cadence. Needs to work on the clap a little bit. But otherwise,
a couple different things.
Clap.
Yeah, overall that you got to work on.
The self-awareness.
But I'm sure
appreciate.
McKinney ISD. I'm sure that venue is going crazy tonight.
Oh,
one of the newer stadiums.
Yeah.
I mean, along with Prosper,
it's a beautiful
venue. Absolutely,
Oh, man. I mean, it's a mecca, no doubt about it. Along there, up there with Prosper and Allen and everything else, and then the Star here. Just some of the best venues in Texas high school football all around the area. Another game that we've talked about a little bit, we haven't necessarily dove into it just yet, but South Grand Prairie on the road against Mansfield Lake Ridge, and Lake Ridge just didn't have it tonight. Now, playing emotionally for the death of their defensive coordinator in this football game just didn't necessarily go their way. 34-16, the final score. SGP, though, on the other side, a statement win. No doubt about it for the Warriors and what they were able to do tonight.
Heckman, take it away, sir.
No, I was wanting, come on. I wanted one of y'all to come on, step step to the plate. Tell me what you got. I mean, I had a lot of hate when I told you I was going with the Warriors. You know, Lake Ridge going to run off with it. You know, come on, give me something.
Well, your boy Drake Logan, was just okay. 40% of his passes completed, 2 interceptions. Not quite the day for him, but it's Lake Ridge giving up 4 turnovers. That's never going to be a recipe for success. And they only ran the ball for about 3 yards a pop. So credit to the South Grand Prairie defense forcing the turnovers, really making them one-dimensional. They were able to throw the ball, but they were down big all game. So I'm sure the South Grand Prairie defense by the end keeping everything in front of them, just trying to keep them out of the end zone. So overall, I think that South Grand Prairie defense is for real. We knew about the athleticism on that side, and Drake Logan not having a good game, and they still win big on the road. That's impressive.
Yeah, Logan had his damage on the ground, 69 yards and a couple of scores, but certainly moving forward, that's the question mark that I had about SGP was their offense. And again, Logan not really answering it through the air, but they get it done on the ground, and their defense carried them tonight. They forced 4 turnovers. I expected more from Adrian Hawkins in that Lake Ridge offense, but tip your cap, man. Tip your cap. South Grand Prairie, this is a big-time win, a win that I don't think they would have gotten last year on the road. I know it's a different Lake Ridge team than it was last year without Chandler Rogers at quarterback, but Adrian Hawkins looked pretty good through the first 3 weeks of the season as well, putting up some solid numbers, and SGP shut him down tonight.
Yeah, SGP and the telling thing about them, again, is a team that has continued to compete. They get it done either way. I mean, they get the stops on defense. It's a tough division to be in. And you point out something very important. Drake Logan, not his best output, but really didn't need to because he had a lot of support from some other guys. I mean, Crawford, he gets it done. Nichols, a touchdown, three receptions, 58 yards. But again, it's the defense that made the difference. They got turnovers when they need them. They made plays in every facet of the game, and it's literally this may be a season-saving win for the Warriors because now they understand that they can compete with some of the bigger programs.
And a bit of a sloppy game. 10 penalties for SGP, 15 for Lake Ridge. That's something, your first district game, I get that, but that's something I'm sure both coaches will want to clean out moving forward.
Yeah, and we talked about the emotional death of Billy Smith over the last couple of days. They had a moment of silence for Coach Smith during that. At the end of that game, we see that here from Guy Frazier at the ball game. Both teams meeting in midfield in a nice moment. After that,
it had to be an emotional game for Lake Ridge to lose someone so pivotal, a guy that's been with their program from the beginning. But also one of the things that I wanted to mention was Christian Vasquez for SGP, a 44-yard field goal for those guys. That's hey, that'll take you a long way in some close ball games if you got a kicker that can go out there and win you one like that.
Hit you consistently from 40 in.
Yeah,
you're doing
so
good.
You're doing something, like I said, and so that may be something to look at going down the road with SGP. But again, from the beginning, man, it just didn't look like they were that bad a team. They just came up against some tough opponents in South Lake Carroll and a Lancaster team that is going to beat a lot of people. It's not going to surprise anybody. And so this is a big win for them.
No doubt about it. We've got some more
it's a
games.
big win for you, too, Heckma.
It is a big win for Heckma overall. That's big time. Well done, sir.
Just happy for you, that's all.
Proud of you.
You're proud of me.
I am.
Happy for me.
Yeah.
It's such a condescending tone. I really appreciate it. Go ahead,
That's
guys.
great. Yeah.
Next team.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we're actually going to take a break. When we come back, though, we're going to wrap up our Week 4 of Whataburger Friday Night Stars. We'll give you all the finals you need to know, and then
pat yourself on the head.
We'll talk through the final of Week 4 before we lose our minds. Here from the Star in Frisco, it's Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
One and only Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I ate a lot of meat. They showed us commercials. Steak. That's what a man eats. Selling that idea that real men eat meat. Serious man food. But you got to understand, that's marketing. That's not based on reality.
I've been teaching fighting techniques to government agencies for more than 15 years. Then I got injured. Unable to teach for at least 6 months, I spent more than 1,000 hours studying science on recovery and nutrition, and stumbled across a study about the Roman gladiators.
The gladiators were predominantly vegetarian.
How could the original professional fighters be so powerful, eating only plants?
When I made the switch to a plant-based diet, I qualified for my 3rd Olympic team. I broke 2 American records. I was like, man, I should have done this a long while ago.
When I went plant-based, I wasn't sure if I was going to survive. And I actually became like a machine.
One of the biggest misconceptions in sports nutrition is that we have to have animal protein to perform at a high level. That's just not true.
Sometimes you have to do things that you know your competitors aren't doing.
Today's blood and yesterday's blood. So
I think this is going to wake a lot of people up.
I was recovering better, not getting as sore. This was our best season in the last 15 years, and we had 14 guys on plant-based diets.
We all want to feel great, have more energy.
Cholesterol was 276. Today, 169.
Whoa, now you're talking.
Most guys my age can keep up with the grandchildren. My grandchildren can't keep up with me.
It's not one set of dietary guidelines for improving your performance as an athlete, another one for reversing heart disease, reversing diabetes. It's the same for all of them.
Someone asked me, how could you get as strong as an ox without eating any meat? And my answer was, have you ever seen an ox eating meat?
Back here from the Star in Frisco as we wrap up Week 4 of Texas high school football. Man, it's been a fun week around the DFW area. Lots of games, lots of interesting final scores that we'll get to you, and we've been giving to you over the last couple of hours. Glad you're with us for one final time. Heckma Harrison, Eric Chiafalo, Zach Wolchuk,
Shalom.
I'm Kyle Yeomans. Shalom, is that your new thing?
Shalom.
Going into
Good
it?
Shabbos.
I like it.
Shalom.
It's good.
You know what that is?
No.
Walchuk?
Means hello in Hebrew.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was Hebrew. I've heard it before, but I didn't know.
I'm sure you have heard it before.
Yeah.
All your Hebrew friends.
Yeah, sure. But going through some of these other scores, I mean, we talked about Trinity and John Tyler, 27-10. The Trinity Trojans come out on top in that one. Another big-time win for Trinity as they continue to just roll through big-time opponents. Another game we haven't mentioned, Frisco Reedy, a big win in their district action over Denison, a Denison team that looked really good over the first couple of weeks of the season. Frisco Reedy takes them down on the road.
That's good. That's a big win. Kittner was here, the quarterback of Reedy. Kid was here last week, man, and he could throw the football.
Mm-hmm.
Big time.
That might have been what it took for Reedy, right? They just needed
Actually,
to get Kitna and that offense going.
It was their rushing attack.
It was their running game. They got it going because Kitna only had 109 yards and a touchdown. He went 10 for 25. By far his worst game this year. However, on the other side, their ground game, one of their tailbacks, I don't want to say this name the wrong way. I think it's Farrago.
Go ahead.
I think it's Farrago. 176 yards and over 9.5 yards per carry.
Oh my God!
And Jacob Smith over 100 yards on the ground as well.
Yeah.
So that Reedy offense getting it done on the ground, and it was a tight ball game, 35-32. Hard to give too much credit to either one of the defenses because they gave up plenty of yards. But Reedy comes through in the end when Kitna, who we think is going to be a good player, still young, but he's obviously got the talent. That they get it done on the ground.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Garland over South Garland, 56-43. Sherman takes down your Justin Northwest Texans, 23-6.
Yeah, no thanks to Mike Brown, right?
God.
Zach Wolchuk. He only had like 180 yards rushing or something.
Just was 191. Get it right.
Just a bad game,
God.
Mike Brown.
I don't think anybody said he had a bad game.
Oh man,
I think you did.
Now, Arlington Martin came back and made it a little bit of a ball game in Rockwall, over in Rockwall. 45-38 was the final score, so Martin came back and made that a game. Another game that didn't look like it was going to be a game early, but it turned out to be a game. Prestonwood Christian Academy on the road against Argyle Liberty Christian.
What happened? Talk to us.
Argyle Liberty Christian was up in that ball game 28-8 in the third quarter, and then Prestonwood came storming back, and Prestonwood, I believe, came out on top in that football game. Final score, not really sure what the final score is.
I got it for you. 42-28.
Jeez, you're looking at me. I'm like, I'm
42-28. You were petering out there. Final score. You came in so confident.
I know, it was.
Like, final score.
I was kind of hoping somebody would bail me out on that one. Yeah, thanks, Chris Bean. Appreciate you. But we've got William Broderick on the phone from that football game. He knows the final score much better than I do. And William, first off, thanks for joining us here on Friday Night Stars. Glad to have you as a part of the team here in 2019. But overall, just a fun game from the get-go. Argyle Liberty Christian looking so good early on, but Prestonwood storms back. What was so impressive about that Prestonwood team late?
Well, I think what was impressive about Prestonwood is how they came out of the half and they made the adjustments to kind of fix the problem that they were having. Their offense was unable to move in the first half, in large part due to the fact that they were trying to push the ball downfield in the passing game, and the high winds tonight just wouldn't let them do it. So they decided, we're going to attack them on the ground, we're going to attack them with short passes and speed, and that's what ultimately won them this game.
Looking at the turnovers for Prestonwood, they had to overcome 5 turnovers, 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles. What was that a weather thing? You said the wind was really bad. Did that have something to do with it?
That had something to do with it. A couple of passes sailed, and then the kickoffs were rather difficult for both teams tonight. I think the biggest thing is most, if not all of Prestonwood's turnovers, actually all but one, I believe, were in the first half. So, again, just shows they played a very clean second half, and Argyle Liberty Christian just couldn't seem to adjust, in the third and fourth quarter.
And this is a Liberty Christian squad that's now 0-4, William, but they were out to that 28-8 lead so early on. What did they do well that kind of caught your eye in that first half, other than force the turnovers? But what was impressive about them early on?
Well, they seemed to be running the ball with power, and really it was the turnovers. They were capitalizing off of them, not just letting them go to waste. And also they were able to take advantage of the Prestonwood defense when their coverage lapsed a couple of times. They get some big chunk plays through the air. So all in all, it was a great first half that they just couldn't seem to build upon.
William joining us here from Prestonwood Christian Academy and Argyle Liberty Christian. Yeah, Zach, you got something else.
Yeah. Jeez, Cal. The 89-yard touchdown on the kickoff for it, William, for PCA. How big of a momentum shifter was that kick return, given that they were down 28-8? That really kind of seems like, at least from a box score perspective, not having been there, that was the momentum-shifting play. Is that right on? Not so much? I mean, what say you on that 89-yard kick return?
Well, you couldn't quite get the final score, but you got that exactly correct. That kick return touchdown.
That was me.
Absolutely the momentum change in this game.
Thank you, William.
Wow. Yeah.
I rest my case.
he took me down.
Now, William, this is Heckman Harrison here. I want to talk about Jacob Switzer and his performance tonight. Couldn't get a lot going with his arm, but he took over on the ground for Preston Wood. Also, talk about, obviously, with the adversity that he faced in the first half, just kind of turning around and taking the team on his shoulders and carrying you guys to a victory.
Well, he showed a lot of confidence coming into the second half. It's like the first half didn't even happen. It's a whole new ball game, and they were out there to win, and he was the biggest part of it. Like you said, he was able to take over, especially on the ground. It seemed like every time Argyle Liberty Christian got near him, he just found a way to escape, and either get some yards on the ground or find an open receiver a little bit more down the field that were able to get that offense going.
Yeah.
Than it was in the first half.
Now, has that always been a part of his game? It's just, when things break down, he can do it with his legs, or is this the first game of the season where he actually showed that?
He's shown the ability to do it. I think tonight was when you saw him do it the most.
Right.
And mostly because he needed to do it, just because the passing attack wasn't working.
Right. 3 touchdowns in the second half. Literally, that was the difference in the ball game for you guys.
Absolutely was.
William Broderick. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. William Broderick joining us here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. William, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again soon, man.
Looking forward to it.
No doubt about it. William Broderick joining us here on Friday Night Stars, and he was at one of the best games across the area tonight. Now, Eric, you and I have some beef. Were you laughing at me because I forgot the score?
Yes, I was, and clearly
I thought it was because he didn't have his glasses on.
I've never seen him do that before.
Kyle, can I ask you this?
Yes.
William, one of our reporters.
Yeah.
Was it the first time he'd seen PCA this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why is that?
That was probably a difficult question that Heckman asked. He kind of asked it as if this guy has seen PCA every single game.
Gotcha.
The Switzer question?
Yeah, this is the first Prestonwood game that we've sent him to this year. So,
hey, we might need to send him to more if they're going to be that kind of instant
it's gonna
class.
be
Well, he handled it like a pro.
No, he did. He did.
True
So
pro.
come on, you got to give William
I
his
thought
thing.
maybe William Broderick was, in.
And I didn't know. You know what? Thank you for saying William Broderick, because I thought that because you guys were just laughing there.
Yeah,
it
was about
Well,
me.
because Kyle screwed up.
It was because of me.
It's been a great show,
It's my
and at
fault.
the
I'm
end
sorry.
he decides he
I
wants to
take
ruin it, and
responsibility.
I don't get it.
Unbelievable, guys.
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry.
Kyle. They decided to throw that one on me, which I understand.
No,
it's okay.
it's on me.
How?
I'll just take
I'll
it.
We
take-
didn't do William any favors,
I'll wear it.
fellas.
I'll wear
Let's
it.
just
You'll
be
wear
honest.
it. Okay. Overall, it has been a good show, and there's been a lot of good final scores over the course of the night. What are the final scores that surprised you the most tonight, gentlemen? Because you could go a bunch of different directions. Whether it is the Prestonwood scores that surprises you just because they were down 20 points in the third quarter, or you could go a different direction like South Grand Prairie.
That's probably the one for me because obviously I picked Lake Ridge to win the game. Lake Ridge being at home, so that one's that one sticks out for sure. I think the other one, the South Oak Cliff and Red Oak. I thought South Oak Cliff at home would be able to get the job done there, and obviously Red Oak, that offense and what they were able to do to contain Rodney Hudson, especially in the passing game, and then Cam Davis in the running game. Red Oak really impressed me going on the road and beating that Sauk team. It's a good team.
I think Wiley over Saxe, 22-21. I thought Saxe would ultimately be able to win that team, be able to win that game. I thought Wiley was a little bit of a rebuilding kind of team coming into this year. They lost a lot of really good pieces from last year's squad that I liked a lot. And I thought Saxe defensively would just go ahead and stifle up that Pirate offense. But at home, we talked about it, that is a tough place to play. And Wiley came up with a clutch victory at the end, final minute, got that go-ahead touchdown, and were able to knock off Saxe 22-21.
Yeah, one of the games that I want to talk about is literally Plano East getting the victory tonight over McKinney Boyd. Yeah. I said it. If Plano East, Hayden can get off and do his thing, which he did tonight, and you thought that at some point, Dylan would slow down, but he didn't. And it was all about not making those costly mistakes because Plano East had been been doing that to themselves in some of those earlier games, just costly turnovers and penalties costing them. But McKinney Boyd came in tonight with some victories and some things that they, kind of hung their hat on that didn't work versus Plano East. And look out for Plano East now. Plano East is definitely a team that right now I don't think they're going to sneak up on a lot of people, but they could be they could give you some problems, is all I'm saying.
A couple teams off this week that we didn't get a whole lot of chance to talk about. Frisco Lone Star not playing this week. Frisco Independence, they're playing each other, both undefeated at the moment, heading into Thursday night action. October 10th is that football game. But I think really along with that game over the last couple of weeks, we're starting to build to some of these district matchups. Of course, we've talked very much so about Allen and Prosper this week and about what type of matchup that's going to play, or how much weight is going to be on that matchup throughout the rest of the season. But there are a couple other ones. I think Lancaster Highland Park, because of Highland Park losing to Lone Star and Lancaster getting them at home. I think that game's starting to build a little momentum and stuff. But we're really starting to see, now that we're getting into district play, exactly which games are going to be the key crucial games here in 2019.
And we're starting to see some maybe sleeper teams within district that maybe got some big wins tonight, like a South Grand Prairie.
Or a Red Oak.
Or a Red Oak, exactly. Teams that might have a chance to not only make the playoffs, but compete to win that district crown that we might have overlooked. Wiley, a team tonight, if they continue to do that with that win over Saxe, Wiley could be one of the top 4 teams within that district, no question. Yeah. When it comes down to tiebreakers at the end of the season, that could be a big victory for Wiley in terms of seeding.
Another dark horse team taking down a team that we thought was almost unbeatable through the first couple weeks of the season. Fort Worth All Saints, who's now 3-0, took down Parish Episcopal 24-17. Preston Stone held to just 8 for 19 passing, 134 yards and a touchdown.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive defensively. They jumped out on top 17-0 in that football game. Parish responded, tied the ball game up at 17, and then Fort Worth All Saints punched it in from 1 yard out with 2:35 left in the fourth quarter to win that one 24-17. But a big win for Fort Worth All Saints. That was a matchup of 2-0 teams in the private school level. And now you look at All Saints as a team that could win that district and be a legitimate opponent for people, or for the TAPS playoff picture.
Absolutely. And for Parish, maybe that was a little bit of a look-ahead game to some other teams down the road, but yeah, that's a key loss. Maybe that's the wake-up call Parish kind of needed. But for Preston Stone, a rare, not Preston Stone-like game. We haven't seen him not put up those video game-like numbers a lot of times. This is your credit to that All Saints defense.
The other district that you got to kind of keep your eye on now is that 7-6A district with Mansfield Summit.
The District of Doom?
Yeah, well, is that what we're calling? Is that what we're going with?
I think we still have Cedar Hill and DeSoto in there. I think that's a really tough district.
Yeah, no, it is. It absolutely is. And then you have now South Grand Prairie. You have Mansfield Summit, 2 teams that have been a little bit surprising. I don't know that we thought Summit would be as good as they were, and I think they went and got the victory today.
They did 28-21.
Okay, there
survived.
You go. Yeah, that was a tight.
We saw them face some adversity.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was good for them. And then again, South Grand Prairie Heckman's team tonight going on the road at Lake Ridge. That 7-6A district is there's going to be some fun matchups when you get to DeSoto, Cedar Hill, South Grand Prairie, and Mansfield Summit. Those are going to be some fun battles throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, Arlington Coats. I really can't say enough about them.
No doubt.
From the beginning of the season, when I found out that Jaharia Rogers was going to go strictly on defense, I was, baffled at what they were going to do offensively, because last year he was Mr. Do-It-All for them. Chris Sims, no joking matter, not laughing about that change anymore, legit. Because he is legit. I mean, he's proven every week that he can put up points. And so Arlington is making a case for themselves in 4-6A.
No, they absolutely are. And it seems like that's the case every year as we say, hey, what is Arlington going to do to reload and be able to make a case for themselves in district play? In the last 2 years, they've done that underneath Coach Peach, and he's done a magnificent job there, no doubt about it. And it's been an incredible week overall of Texas high school football as we continue to move forward. But as we go into the final couple minutes here of Whataburger Friday Night Stars, any Friday stars for you, Zach?
Well, one game that we didn't really get to yet, Gunter completely blew out Pilot Point at home, 35-0.
Who picked that one?
Gunter just rolled Pilot
Not
Point.
me.
Jacob Pitts, who had been outstanding for Pilot Point, that had been in a really good offense, did not have a good game. Only 69 yards passing, had 2 interceptions.
Wow.
They couldn't get anything going on the ground. So Gunter showing why exactly they've been a state finalist 2 of the last 3 years in one state in 2016. That's a heck of a program, and that's a big-time victory. We thought maybe Pilot Point was an up-and-coming program here locally in 3A. Gunter kind of saying, not so fast. We're here to stay. You guys still got to get past us.
That's big time for Gunter overall. Now, Friday Night Stars.
This one's going to be tough. Who was it that had 6 touchdown passes? Was that Braden Locke?
That was Braden Locke. And don't forget about that pick, though.
He did have that pick, but Braden Locke,
Wow.
and a game that ended up being a lot closer. Rockwell holds off Arlington Martin by a touchdown, but Braden Locke was absolutely fantastic tonight. A lot of people thought Arlington Martin might win that game, but Braden Locke and Jackson Smith connected all night long.
Sherman running back Mike Brown. Got to give him some love since Walchuk was disparaging his name.
He's a stud. He's an absolute
I don't
stud.
even have to round up. He did have over 10 yards per carry tonight.
You're right.
19 attempts, 191 yards. Sherman blows out my Justin Northwest Texans.
I should have listened to you.
On the back of
Heckma's
Mike
deep
Brown.
in thought right now.
Well, I mean, they just took away my guy. I mean, so basically,
Which one was your Jackson
guy?
Smith. Just mail it in.
I'm going to
Nice.
talk about a game that happened right here at the Star with Frisco, and Kyrie Green, kid had a monster night, quarterback for Frisco. I mean, come on, man, it doesn't get any better than what he did. 4 touchdowns tonight, big output. I mean, they won this game easily, but definitely Frisco did it.
Man, what a night for Rockwall and for Frisco and for a lot of these teams that have now started to emerge themselves as real contenders throughout Texas high school football. My Friday Night Star goes out to all of our reporters out on the scene tonight. Had some great footage.
You're real company, man.
Well, I am, yeah. And then not only is that, but a couple of them battled the rain. Van Malone was standing in the rain. Mallory Hartley got drenched with the Prosper and McKinney game. I mean, it was just a downpour.
And she hung tough she almost took a shot.
Huge look whenever that running back was coming right at her.
She held on to her phone.
Do it for the
Darn
highlights.
Right. Yeah. Mallory over Guy. Same stadium, too. Same stadium, and Mallory definitely hung on a little bit more than Guy Frazier did. But overall, it's been an incredible week here of Whataburger Friday Night Stars. So glad that everybody's been able to join us here for Week 4 of Texas high school football. Plenty of highlights to roll out to tonight as we'll join you next week, 5 to 7, and then from 9 to 11 as we get into Week 5 of the regular season in Texas high school football. Once again, you can follow us on Twitter at Friday_Stars. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Like us on Facebook as well. And then you can follow us on Instagram once again at Friday_Stars. For everybody involved in this Friday Night Stars production, for Heckma Harrison, Eric Giafalo, Zach Wolchuk, for Chris Beam, Jeremy in the studio, for Matt Kent, Chance Williams, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Once again, saying so long from the Star in Frisco, and God bless.